Chapter 1753. The mysterious man waved his hand, and 5 figures appeared around him. If Lin Xian were here and saw this scene, he would definitely turn pale with fright. Because these 5 figures were Guchuanfei, Li Wei, and the others. These people were all killed by him before, but he didn't expect that they would all be resurrected now. Not only that, but their auras had become even more powerful. Go, I'll wait for your good news. The mysterious man waved his hand, and Ouyang Feng and the other 5 disappeared. These people did not attack immediately. Instead, they formed a dark organization. They did not want to be surrounded and killed by others, so they decided to use the rules of the primeval forest to get rid of Lin Xian. On the other side, Lin Xian, the Crimson Dragon, and the Snow White Monkey attacked again. Their targets were the powerful Demon Kings. Of course, they were not targeting the Demon Kings themselves, but the spiritual herbs, crystals, and eggs they were guarding. With the Snow White Monkey's treasure bowl, Lin Xian and the others' speed, and the formation, they were able to succeed repeatedly. However, this also angered many Demon Kings. Immediately, the nearby forest went berserk again. The warriors who did not know the truth all felt their scalps go numb when they saw this scene. They ran away like crazy. These few days, no one dared to wander around the forest. Lin Xian, on the other hand, had a rich harvest. He did not absorb the energy he obtained immediately. Instead, he first gave it to the 5-colored immortal stone. Then, he absorbed the 5-colored energy from the 5-colored immortal stone. Although this kind of conversion was a little troublesome, the 5-colored energy was purer and more abundant. Lin Xian's strength was also rapidly increasing. Now, he was almost a mid-4-star king. This kind of improvement was very fast. One had to know that in the outside world, even the geniuses of the peerless sacred grounds and ancient families would need several years to increase their strength. Ordinary warriors might not be able to increase their strength even after decades or centuries. Lin Xian, on the other hand, had made such a breakthrough in just over 10 days. One had to admit that this speed was too frightening. Not only that, but these days, he had been digesting and studying the battles. He was now constantly unearthing the power of the great dragon sword spirit. Previously, she had been using the sharpness of the great dragon sword spirit. That was why he had such a strong combat strength. However, looking at it now, that incomparably terrifying evolution ability was even more shocking. For example, Lin Xian did not know any of the 5 elements sex ultimate techniques, nor did he know any of the 4 symbols sacred grounds ultimate techniques. However, with the help of the great dragon sword soul, he could use both the 5 elements fists and the immemorial golem fist. Furthermore, its power was even more terrifying than his opponent's fist technique. Not only could he imitate other people's martial arts, but he could also imitate a king's domain. If this kind of attack was used, it would definitely be extremely shocking. On this particular day, he wasn't working on his cultivation, because he had received a message from Leaf Doudenier. Therefore, Lin Xian set aside his cultivation and headed in Leaf Doudenier's direction. It didn't take long for him to see Leaf Doudenier again. "Brother Dragon, you're in bad shape," Leaf Doudenier said grimly. "What's wrong?" Lin Xian was puzzled. "Could it be that Zhao Tianxie and Lu Mingwei have joined forces to attack me?" He wasn't surprised at all, because the 2 sides would have to fight sooner or later. However, to his surprise, Leaf Doudenier shook his head. "It's not Zhao Tianxie and Lu Mingwei. It's another faction." "Another faction? Who is it?" Lin Xian frowned. "It's a newly formed mysterious faction called the Dark Organization. For the past few days, the Dark Organization has been searching for your whereabouts." "Dark Organization?" Lin Xian frowned. He had never heard of this name. Therefore, he asked, "Who are they?" "I don't know. They're very mysterious. They all wear large black robes that cover their faces. There's even a black fog surrounding their bodies. However, their attacks are very swift and fierce. There was once an organization with a dozen people that clashed with them. In the end, the 6 of them defeated the small organization." Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. Not only were the opponents few in number, but they were also very powerful. More importantly, they hid their identities. Who would attack him? He couldn't figure it out. But then, he snorted coldly. Since they want to fight, then let's fight. Brother Long, do you want to fight them? Leaf Doudenier asked. His expression was solemn. The opponent's strength can't be underestimated. In this battle, I'm afraid the 6 of them will attack together. It's too much for you to fight the 6 of them alone. Moreover, they seem to have come prepared. It's fine. It's only 6 people. I'm confident. Lin Xian nodded solemnly, his eyes shining brightly. He had his own plans. If he defeated the Dark Organization in public, his reputation would expand once again. When that time came, other organizations would think twice before making a move on him. In that case, his troubles would be reduced by a lot. Soon, the news of Lin Xian challenging the Dark Organization spread. Suddenly, all the warriors in the entire primeval forest were shocked. They didn't expect Lin Xian to agree. For a moment, everyone was discussing. Is this guy out of his mind? How dare he agree to such a thing? Yeah, that's 6 people. And they're extremely powerful. They've even defeated a large organization. Such a force is absolutely terrifying. Someone actually dares to challenge them alone. He's courting death. Just you wait. That kid is dead meat. This time, almost no one was optimistic about Lin Xian. Because this was not a one-on-one battle, but a battle with an organization. Under such circumstances, it would be too disadvantageous for him to fight alone. Zhao Tianxie, Lu Mingwei, Yan Qing, and the others sneered when they heard the news. Looks like I don't have to do anything. Someone else will take care of him. Zhao Tianxie snorted coldly. Then, he moved and led his people to watch. On the other side, Lu Mingwei, Yan Qing, and the others also set off. They weren't the only ones. Most of the warriors set off as well. They wouldn't miss such a shocking battle. In the forest, Ouyang Feng, Li Wei, and the others revealed sinister smiles when they heard the news. They were all people who had died once. This time, they were resurrected to kill Lin Xian. Originally, they thought that Lin Xian might refuse. If that happened, they might be in a lot of trouble. However, they didn't expect Lin Xian to agree. What an arrogant guy. He's courting death. How dare he attack the 6 of us? He's dead meat this time. I'll definitely take revenge for this. I must kill him to avenge the death of my friend. Cold shouts sounded. These people were filled with murderous intent. They were extremely cold and swore to kill Lin Xian. Chapter 1754. Cold shouts rang out one after another. These people were brimming with killing intent. They were incomparably cold as they swore to kill Lin Xian. They put on black robes and masks. Ouyang Feng's body swayed and shrunk until he reached the size of a normal person. He had no choice. If he walked out in his original form, he would definitely be recognized. That was because other than him, no one else was more than 3 meters tall. He did not want others to know that he was resurrected. That would ruin his master's plan. In a forest, more and more martial artists rushed over. They were discussing the upcoming battle. Not long after, a figure rushed over from afar. He was tall, handsome, and calm. It was Lin Xian. That's the kid? He's too arrogant. Humph! He's very ordinary. I don't see anything powerful about him. How dare he challenge the Dark Coalition? He's quite handsome. There were also women who were infatuated. However, more people sneered. What's the use of being handsome? He'll be finished soon. How dare he challenge the Dark Coalition? I'm afraid he's dead meat today. That's right. I heard that the Dark Coalition is very terrifying. Every one of them is a powerful machine. If the 6 of them attack together, no one would be able to resist them. A series of discussions broke out as everyone's gaze landed on Lin Xian. At that moment, the void in the distance rippled. 6 black figures rushed over. They were 6 mysterious people in black robes and masks. Their bodies were surrounded by black gas. It was impossible to see them clearly. Even soul power could not detect them. Whoosh! They landed on the ground. Each of them emitted a shocking murderous aura that pierced through the sky. The surrounding martial artists were shocked and quickly retreated. What a terrifying murderous aura! It seems that they're determined to attack this time. Many people felt their scalps tingle when they sensed the aura. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and sized up the 6 people in front of him. At the same time, he was puzzled. The murderous aura on them was too strong. It was as if there was a deep hatred between them. However, he did not know the 6 of them at all. Forget it. Lin Xian shook his head. After defeating them and taking off their masks, he would know who they were. It was useless to guess now. In front of him, 6 black-robed men stood there. Their murderous aura soared to the sky, as if they were gods of death. Especially the one at the front. His murderous aura was like a giant dragon that soared into the sky. He stared at Lin Xian in front of him and said coldly, "Boy, are you going to die kneeling, or are you going to surrender obediently? But no matter what method it is, I will make you wish you were dead." His voice was very low, like that of a demon. After Lin Xian heard this, he frowned. It seemed that the other party's resentment towards him was not small. However, he wasn't someone who would just sit and wait for death. Thus, he snorted coldly, "Cut the crap. The 6 of you can come at me together." "What?" Hearing this, everyone was in an uproar, as if they couldn't believe their ears. Was he really going to challenge an entire organization by himself? This was crazy. At this moment, everyone was incomparably shocked. As for the 6 black-cloaked men at the front, they sneered. "Brat, you're too arrogant. However, since you're courting death, we'll fulfill your wish." The 6 of them were like demons, ready to attack. However, at this moment, Lin Xian said, "Wait. This place isn't suitable for battle. I'm going to challenge the 6 of you alone. Give me some space. Otherwise, aren't you being too much of a bully?" "Space? What space do you want? Don't tell me you want to use the entire forest as a battlefield?" The black-cloaked men's voices were cold because they had all fought Lin Xian before and knew that Lin Xian's speed was incomparably terrifying. If they were allowed to stretch out the battle line, they were afraid that they would be defeated one by one. In that case, their advantage of working together would be gone. However, Lin Xian smiled and shook his head. "I don't need the entire forest. Just give me a valley." "A valley?" The surrounding warriors were stunned. The 6 black-cloaked men were also stunned. They didn't expect Lin Xian to choose a valley. The 6 of them discussed for a while, then revealed sinister smiles again. If they were to start fighting now, the other party would very likely escape. However, choosing a valley was a different story. That valley was surrounded by mountains on 3 sides and only had one exit. As long as they blocked the exit, the other party wouldn't be able to escape. That way, they would be able to catch a turtle in a jar. Thinking of this, they did not hesitate at all and readily agreed. "We'll do as you say. Choose a valley. Kid, choose a grave for yourself." "Ha ha!" They sneered, not putting Lin Xian in their eyes at all. Zhao Tianxia, Lu Mingwei, and the others also shook their heads in disdain. In their opinion, no matter what Lin Xian chose, there was no chance of victory. On the other side, Yu Wudao had also arrived, accompanied by 2 old men. When they saw Lin Xian's actions, they immediately said coldly, "This kid is too arrogant. He actually wants to fight against 6 experts by himself?" The 2 old men shook their heads. Yu Wudao's expression was grave, but he still spoke. "Don't underestimate Brother Long. I feel that he's very strong. He's not weaker than me." "How is that possible? Young master, you're—" One of the old men didn't believe him. But just as he was about to say something, he was stopped by the other. In front of them, Lin Xian moved, looking around. Finally, he chose a valley. This valley was surrounded by mountains on 3 sides and was relatively spacious, suitable for battle. "Okay, this will be it," Lin Xian said. "This is the grave you chose for yourself?" It's really not that great. Kid, from now on, this will be your eternal resting place. The black-robed men sneered. As for the other spectators, they came to the surrounding mountains and silently watched the battle. They stood on top of the mountain and looked down. They could clearly see the entire battle. Soon, the battle in the valley began. The 6 black-robed men roared, and a terrifying aura erupted from their bodies, instantly enveloping the entire valley. Even the spectators felt their scalps go numb, and their faces were filled with fear. Because the auras of these 6 people were too powerful. In the next moment, the 6 black-robed men joined forces to seal off the only exit. Lin Xian coldly snorted, and a fierce light appeared on his body. It made him look like a god of war, powerful to the extreme. Moreover, to everyone's surprise, he didn't try to escape. He didn't even try to take a detour. Instead, he directly rushed over. What? He actually rushed over. What is this kid thinking? Isn't he courting death by directly confronting 6 people? It seems that he knows he's going to die, so he's giving up? Doubtful voices sounded. Clearly, these people couldn't understand Lin Xian's actions. Chapter 1755. Looks like he knows that he's going to die, so he's given up on himself? Doubtful voices were heard. Obviously, these people could not understand Lin Xian's behavior. In their opinion, the best way to face the 6 black-robed men was to wander around the valley and defeat them one by one to avoid being surrounded by them. That way, even if he could not win, he could at least stall for some time. However, Lin Xian's approach was completely out of everyone's expectations. He did not beat around the bush at all and directly faced them head-on. People who did that were either fools or idiots, or they had ungodly strength. Did Lin Xian really have ungodly strength? No one knew. The 6 black-robed men on the other side were stunned when they saw that, but then they shouted coldly. How dare he look down on them and fight the 6 of them head-on? That was intolerable. Therefore, the next one of them roared angrily and charged forward like crazy demonic beasts. The distance between the 2 sides was getting closer and closer, and in the next moment, it was less than 10 meters. However, at that moment, Lin Xian made his move. He waved his arm and a sharp sword light instantly surged out. That sword light was too terrifying. It contained the aura of a dragon and appeared in the air like lightning. In an instant, it slashed one of the black-robed men. Boom! After that attack, a terrifying crack appeared on the black-robed man's body. Blood splattered everywhere, and the man's body was sent flying backward and crashed onto the ground. What? He got him in one hit! When the crowd saw this scene, they all cried out in surprise. They could not believe that Lin Xian was the first to succeed and gain the upper hand. That was too unbelievable. One had to know that Lin Xian was alone, and he was facing 6 black-robed men, each of whom was extremely powerful. However, even so, Lin Xian still gained the upper hand in the battle. It was hard to believe. Damn it, how did it turn out like this? Even the 6 black-robed men were shocked. They could not accept that fact at all. His strength has actually increased again. The leader of the black-robed men had a ferocious look on his face, and his eyes were as red as a wild beast's. He could not believe that the other party's strength had improved so much in such a short period of time. This was simply too heaven-defying. Go! Kill him! With a roar, they once again charged towards Lin Xian. Terrifying attacks surged towards him like waves. The void trembled, unable to withstand it at all. It was immediately torn apart. In the next moment, a violent power surged towards Lin Xian, surrounding him in an instant. Lin Xian coldly snorted, and his entire body blossomed with resplendent light. His entire being seemed to have transformed into a peerless divine sword, sweeping forward. Immediately, a huge crack appeared on the berserk energy. Then, he used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps and rushed out. Boom! In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of these black-robed men and punched out with both fists. His left hand was the fist of metal, and his right hand was the fist of fire. Both of his fists punched forward. On the left, golden light shone. The golden light seemed to have transformed into a golden sword. It was incomparably sharp and quickly pierced through the void. On the right, pitch-black flames surged out. The terrifying heat caused the entire void to distort. Boom! With two loud bangs, two black-robed men were sent flying as if they had been struck by lightning. "He's done it again!" Seeing this scene, everyone's scalps went numb. They could not believe it. Because Lin Xian was simply too powerful. In a total of 4 moves, he had injured 3 people. It could be said that they had never seen such a method before. The remaining 3 black-robed men were also horrified. They could not believe it at all. How could this be? How did he become so powerful? At this moment, on the distant mountain peak, Lu Mingwe, Zhao Tianxia, and the others had extremely grave expressions. Because this scene was completely different from what they had imagined. It could be said that the strength that Lin Xian displayed now was a world of difference compared to before. Damn it, what kind of treasure does this kid have? How could it be so heaven-defying? His strength has increased so quickly. Even the 2 old men standing next to Leaf Doudenier were completely shocked. How did this kid do it? How can his combat strength be so strong? Could it be that he can really be compared to the young master? The 2 of them were extremely shocked. Yu Wudao, on the other hand, breathed a sigh of relief. Sure enough, he had not misjudged Lin Xian. Kill! The remaining 3 black-robed men roared crazily. The 3 of them had the strongest auras. At this moment, they were like gods and demons as they attacked crazily. Terrifying energy exploded. In an instant, the void in front of them exploded, and an incomparably terrifying black hole appeared. Whoosh! However, Lin Xian's speed was extremely fast, and he dodged the energy attack by a hair's breadth. He then swung his fists, and swept all 3 of them. A terrifying battle erupted. Lin Xian was fighting 1 against 3, but he was still not at a disadvantage. This made everyone more and more shocked. Humph! Suddenly, Lin Xian coldly snorted and changed his fist technique again. A primordial aura surged from his body. Roar! Roar! In the next moment, 2 long roars were heard. It was as if 2 huge beasts had awakened. Then, 2 immemorial demonic elephants rushed out from his fists and stood in the void. Their huge bodies carried endless energy. Their cold eyes were emotionless. The 2 immemorial demonic elephants seemed to have crossed time and space from hell. What? Immemorial demonic elephant fist! How does this kid know the 4 symbols sacred grounds fist technique? At this moment, everyone was shocked and could not believe it. The 3 black-robed men were extremely shocked. Especially the one in front. His body was trembling as if he could not accept this fact. Impossible, this is impossible. How does he know the immemorial demonic elephant fist? This was the 4 symbols sacred grounds ultimate technique. How could an itinerant cultivator like him know such a fist technique? Under the mask, Ouyang Feng could not accept it. One had to know that such an ultimate technique could not be taught to outsiders. Even in the 4 symbols sacred ground, only the genius disciples could cultivate it. But now, Lin Xian was obviously not from the 4 symbols sacred ground. Yet, he could use the immemorial demonic elephant fist. It was unbelievable. But now, there was no time for them to think about it. Because the 2 immemorial demonic elephants were already rushing towards them. Boom! 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 The void was trampled mercilessly. Countless black cracks appeared and spread in all directions. The 2 immemorial demonic elephants were like 2 mountains that pressed down on the 3 black-robed men. Get lost! Finally, the black-robed man in front could not hold it in anymore. He also waved his fists, and a terrifying aura spread out. Not only that, but 2 huge phantoms also appeared on his fists. Immemorial demonic elephants! Boom! 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 The 4 immemorial demonic elephants collided in the air and fought non-stop. A terrifying aura tore through the sky. In the end, the 4 immemorial demonic elephants disappeared into the void at the same time. As for the surrounding crowd, they were all stunned. They did not expect the black-robed man to know the immemorial demonic elephant fist. Chapter 1756. The surrounding crowd was dumbfounded. They did not expect the black-robed man to also know the immemorial golem fist. What was going on? They did not understand at all. Lin Xian's pupils also constricted abruptly, his face full of shock. To be honest, he did not expect the other party to use the immemorial golem fist. This was too unexpected. One had to know that the reason he could use the immemorial golem fist was because of the great dragon sword soul. Apart from him, he had only seen Ouyang Feng use this fist technique. But now, the black-robed man in front of him actually knew this fist technique as well. It was too shocking. Could it be that the other party was a Four Symbols Holy Land martial artist? For a moment, many people looked toward a mountain peak. Because there were several Four Symbols Holy Land martial artists standing there. However, those people quickly shook their heads because they did not know who the other party was. This was too shocking. There were actually two outsiders who could use their Four Symbols Holy Land's ultimate technique. This matter was definitely not simple. They had to investigate to the end. I did not expect you to be from the Four Symbols Holy Land. Are you here to avenge Ouyang Feng? Lin Xian asked with a frown. Humph, you don't need to know who I am. You only need to know that today is the day you die. The black-robed man snorted coldly. Then, he waved his fist again and quickly charged forward. Since he had already used the immemorial golem fist, he would no longer hold back. For a moment, four terrifying immemorial golem elephants appeared around him and charged forward together. What? 4 immemorial golem elephants? How is this possible? Everyone was in an uproar again because they did not expect the black-robed man to be so powerful. One had to know that Ouyang Feng, as an outstanding disciple of the Four Symbols Holy Land, could only use 3 immemorial golem elephants. And now, the black-robed man was even more terrifying than Ouyang Feng. When did such a terrifying figure appear in the Four Symbols Holy Land? Could he be a Four Symbols Holy Land saint? For a moment, everyone was shocked and asked the other Four Symbols Holy Land martial artists. The surrounding Four Symbols Holy Land martial artists were also very puzzled. They frowned deeply. They did not know who the black-robed man in front of them was. The 4 immemorial demonic elephants filled the void as they charged forward with terrifying energy. Lin Xian's expression was solemn as well. He did not expect his opponent's ancient demonic elephant fist to be so powerful that it could summon 4 ancient demonic elephants. This was even more impressive than Ouyang Feng. Therefore, he did not dare to be careless. Brandishing both of his fists, the fist of water gushed out rapidly. Instantly, boundless seawater surged, covering the entire space. Crash! The seawater rushed towards the 4 immemorial demonic elephants and surrounded them in an instant. Not only that, but a huge whirlpool of ocean waves formed near each immemorial demonic elephant, forming a powerful force that firmly locked the immemorial demonic elephants, making them unable to move. This scene was truly too terrifying. No one had expected that Lin Xian would still be able to contend against the mysterious black-robed man's 4 immemorial demonic elephants. The face of the black-clothed man at the front also darkened. The fact that his opponent was able to contend with his 4 immemorial demonic elephants surprised him greatly. However, his strength was not limited to this. In the next moment, he brandished his fists again. The 4 immemorial demonic elephants roared into the sky, and violent power gushed out from those immemorial demonic elephants. Boom! 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 The boundless whirlpool of ocean waves was directly stomped into a terrifying black hole. The 4 immemorial demonic elephants escaped the shackles of the cage and charged towards Lin Xian. At the same time, the other black-robed men also made their move. 2 of them were not injured, and the other 3 were injured. At this moment, they had recovered some of their injuries under the effect of the elixir. They would join forces again to attack. Humph! Seeing this scene, Lin Xian's black hair fluttered, and the dragon sword realm rushed out immediately, and then transformed into the water realm. Boundless waves swept in all directions. The waves were very terrifying, containing the aura of the great dragon sword spirit, resisting the six masters. Humph! However, one of the black-robed men sneered, then waved his fists, and also punched out seawater all over the sky. The fist of water! Everyone was shocked and could not believe it. They did not expect that one of the black-robed men would also know the five-element fist, and even use it. To be honest, even Lin Xian was stunned. He did not expect that the other party would also know the five-element fist. This was really unexpected. Five-element fist against five-element fist. The boundless ocean surged, and the two forces collided in the air. Every time they collided, a thunderous sound would be heard. Lin Xian was also surprised. He did not expect that the other party would also have people from the five-element sect. However, this was not the end. In the next moment, everyone screamed again. That was because the other black-robed man used the primal chaos energy and rapidly shot it out. That primal chaos energy was incomparably terrifying, and it could even kill a six-star king. Primal chaos energy! It's a martial artist from the All Beginnings Holy Land! Everyone cried out in alarm. Even Lu Mingwe furrowed her brows. After all, she was an outstanding disciple of the All Beginnings Holy Land. She did not expect that one of the black-robed men would be her fellow disciple. Moreover, from the primal chaos energy, the other party was clearly an expert. However, who was the other party? Lu Mingwe did not know. Lin Xian's expression was also grave. For a moment, he was surrounded by six experts. His situation was extremely dangerous. I seal! Lin Xian roared. The boundless ocean waves in the surroundings surged and instantly froze, forming clouds of icy mist that froze the entire space. Ka ka ka! In an instant, the attacks that filled the sky and the terrifying scene, as well as the six black-robed men, were all frozen in the icy mist. The surrounding ocean also instantly froze. This method could be said to be heaven-shaking. Lin Xian's figure flickered, and he rapidly retreated from the encirclement of the six black-robed men. In the next moment, the six black-robed men roared, and a terrifying radiance erupted from their bodies, shattering the icy mist. They once again charged at Lin Xian. The six black-robed men were very powerful. However, what shocked Lin Xian even more was that the six black-robed men actually included people from the Four Symbols Holy Lands, the All Beginnings Holy Land, and the Five-Element Sect. These people were all his enemies. He did not expect that they would actually attack him together. However, since this was the case, he would not show mercy. In the next moment, he roared and pulled out the 9 underworld demonic sword. A terrifying sword light tore through the sky. The seawater that filled the sky also instantly turned into an incomparably terrifying sword chi. It swept out in all directions. Dang dang dang! An earth-shaking collision sounded. The six black-robed men were actually forced back by the sword chi. What? So powerful! What kind of sword chi is this? It can actually repel 6 experts. How did this guy do it? Everyone was shocked, and they did not dare to believe it. The 6 black-robed men were also shocked. They were afraid that the other party's sword chi was too terrifying. It made them feel as if they were on the verge of death. Kill! Lin Xian held the demonic sword in his hand, and his entire body was surging with killing intent. In the next moment, a huge black sword chi ruthlessly blasted downward like a mountain. Chapter 1757. Boom! One of the black-robed men was hit, and his black robe was instantly torn apart. Poof! In the next moment, he revealed his true face. The mask on his face and the surrounding black fog were all slashed apart. What? It's you! Lin Xian was shocked and could not believe what he was seeing. He actually knew the black-robed man. It was Wang Yu. However, he had already killed him. How could he still be alive? Moreover, he was much stronger than before. What was going on? Lin Xian could not understand. In addition, the people from the Five Elements sect were also shocked because they also recognized Wang Yu. However, they did not know why Wang Yu was dressed like that, and why he had become so powerful. Damn it! Wang Yu looked ferocious and murderous. His eyes were full of viciousness. Wang Yu was still alive. How could this be? If that was the case, then were the other black-robed men also dead and resurrected? Lin Xian furrowed his brows. He realized that the other party might not be any other cultivator, but one of the people he had killed before. In order to verify this idea, he stared at the black-robed man at the front. The other party used the ancient demonic elephant fist. He wanted to see if the other party was Ouyang Feng. Therefore, in the next moment, he used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps. With the demon's sword in his hand, he turned into a shocking sword light and rushed forward. "You're courting death!" The black-robed man at the front saw Lin Xian and immediately roared. He waved his fist, and the 4 immemorial demonic statues quickly circled around, forming a powerful hurricane that violently blasted out. Whoosh! Whoosh! The void was instantly torn apart. The powerful wind blade was extremely sharp and could destroy everything. However, Lin Xian only shook his long sword and pierced a black hole in the wind blade. He also rushed out in an instant. However, he was soon stopped by an ancient demonic elephant. "Humph! You want to get close to me? You have no chance!" The black-robed man at the front sneered. He naturally would not let Lin Xian get close and would not expose his identity. An immemorial demonic elephant stood in front of Lin Xian, emitting a terrifying aura. It was like a giant wall that no one could cross. On the other hand, Lin Xian held the demonic sword in his hand. His entire being was extremely sharp as he faced this colossus alone. This scene was too terrifying, making one's scalp tingle. Although the immemorial demonic mammoths were only condensed from power, they felt like real ancient demonic beasts. They emitted a terrifying aura that made it hard for people to breathe. Lin Xian didn't feel any discomfort. In fact, his aura was even more terrifying than that of the immemorial demonic elephants. 1. In the next moment, Lin Xian made his move. He waved the 9 Serenity's devil sword and quickly stabbed out. The terrifying sword light rushed out like a rain of light, emitting a trembling sound. Sword Chi Thunder! The terrifying sword light soared into the sky, stirring up the wind and clouds in all directions. Then, endless lightning accompanied by terrifying sword radiance fell from the sky rapidly. Rumble! The void trembled, and terrifying lightning filled the sky, completely drowning the immemorial demonic elephant. What a terrifying sword light and lightning! This young man was indeed amazing. On the surrounding mountain peaks, even the older generation figures and sect elders kept nodding their heads. The young disciples looked even more solemn, because the power that Lin Xian displayed made them tremble. Boom! The sky was filled with sword light and lightning, instantly piercing through an immemorial demonic elephant. Lin Xian was like a demon, walking quickly toward the black-robed men. How could this be? How could his sword technique be so powerful? The black-robed men's eyelids twitched wildly because they realized that the other party's combat strength was too amazing. His cultivation was obviously inferior to theirs, but his combat strength made them feel a sense of despair. Damn it! Attack! The black-robed man at the front roared again, and the 3 immemorial demonic elephants beside him roared out. It's useless. I must take off your mask today. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He waved his long sword, and the dragon sword realm around him quickly provided energy. Boom! Boom! 3 huge sword auras directly blasted the 3 immemorial demonic elephants away. For a moment, nothing could stop Lin Xian's footsteps. How could this be? The 6 black-robed men opposite him felt their scalps go numb, and they kept retreating. Facing the young man in front of them, they had a feeling of wanting to escape. I don't believe it! At this time, the black-robed man at the front roared, turned into a demon, and quickly rushed over. On his body, a huge light appeared in an instant, wanting to envelop Lin Xian. Buzz! The demonic sword flew across the sky, directly splitting the terrifying light. Not only that, the black-robed man's mask, black robe, and black mist were all split open. No! The black-robed man retreated, covering his face with his hand, looking very ferocious. It's really you! Lin Xian did not attack again, but his expression was incomparably cold. The surrounding martial artists were all stunned, and each of them widened their eyes in disbelief. Because they had already seen the black-robed man's face. However, they could not accept this. Ouyang Feng! How could it be him? This is impossible! Among them, Yanqing's face was full of shock, as if she had seen a ghost. Indeed, she had seen a ghost. One had to know that Ouyang Feng was killed in public, and everyone knew that. But now, he had come back to life. Not only that, but his strength had also increased greatly, which was too unbelievable. What was going on? At this moment, not only Yanqing, but even Lu Mingwei and Zhao Tianxia were also extremely shocked. The other martial artists' minds were blank. A dead person coming back to life, this did not make sense at all. They had never heard of such a thing. Everyone was stunned, but at the same time, they also knew why the other party would use the immemorial demonic elephant fist. Because the other party was originally a martial artist from the Four Symbols Sacred Grounds. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes and looked at the other party. It's you're not dead. That's right, it's me. Since he had been recognized, Ouyang Feng did not hide anymore. His entire body bloomed with light, and his figure suddenly rose to 3 meters, returning to his original appearance. However, you're wrong about one thing. It's not that I didn't die, I came back to life. This time, I've come from hell for revenge. Today, I will kill you with my own hands. Ouyang Feng's expression was cold, and his eyes were like lightning, emitting a terrifying murderous aura. Behind him, the other 5 black-robed men also tore off their black robes and took off the masks on their faces. Seeing those people, Lin Xian's expression was extremely solemn. Because those people were none other than Gu Chuanfei, Li Wei, Wan Yu, and the others who had been killed by him. It seemed that not only Ouyang Feng had come back to life, but the others had as well. However, how did the other party do it? What kind of method was this? Lin Xian was extremely shocked, and even He Tu and the Crimson Dragon hidden in the black earth were stunned, unable to believe it. Chapter 1758. What kind of technique was that? Lin Xian was extremely shocked. Even He Tu and the Crimson Dragon, who were hiding in the black earth, were stunned. They could not believe it. Kid, be careful. They're too strange. The two of them transmitted their voices. Lin Xian's expression was solemn, and the aura on his body became even sharper. I don't know how you came back to life, but if I can kill you once, I can kill you a second time. Since you're in a hurry to die, I'll fulfill your wish. You're courting death. Shameless boasting. You're definitely not the 6 of us. Ouyang Feng and the others shouted coldly, their expressions ferocious. In the next moment, they pounced crazily. This time, they no longer had any scruples. They attacked with all their might, using their respective ultimate techniques. Immemorial demonic elephant fist! Ouyang Feng shouted. He was like a demon, and the terrifying immemorial demonic elephant rampaged. 5 elements fist! Li Wei used the 5 elements fist. The 5-colored light kept flickering, terrifying and strange. Chaotic light! Gu Chuanfei shot out beams of terrifying light that tore through the void and quickly slashed towards Lin Xian. The others also used their ultimate techniques, and terrifying energy rushed towards Lin Xian. Good timing! Lin Xian laughed. I haven't used my full strength in a long time. Today, I'll show you my true strength. Lin Xian's body emitted a bright light, and the dragon sword realm instantly enveloped the entire valley. Kill! He roared and waved his long sword. Suddenly, a black sword light descended from the sky like the Styx River. Poof! The terrifying energy directly split a ball of energy, causing it to dissipate into spiritual energy. On the other side, Lin Xian clapped his hands, and the 10,000 bee sting appeared above him. A terrifying black light swept out like a tide. It was deafening, as if thousands of soldiers and horses were galloping in the sky. Boom, boom, boom. The 5 elements' fist was broken. Layers of dragon shadows. Lin Xian held the sword in his right hand and punched out with his left. Countless black fist shadows intertwined in the air, forming numerous black dragons that blotted out the sky. The 4 immemorial demonic elephants collided with each other at high speed as the terrifying dragons soared through the sky. Pung pung pung. In an instant, the 6 figures were blasted back again. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was like a demon god. He stood in place, his cold gaze sweeping the surroundings. This is your power? You're just SOSO. Domineering. Too domineering. Only a few people were capable of repelling 6 experts by himself. At this moment, Lin Xian was like a god of war, domineering to the extreme. Damn it, why is he so strong? The faces of Ouyang Feng and the other 5 turned ugly. Originally, they had thought that the 6 of them would be able to easily kill the other party. However, he didn't expect that in just over 10 days, the other party's cultivation and strength would undergo another earth-shattering change. That kind of breakthrough was even more powerful than theirs. Even now, the 6 of them couldn't take him down even if they worked together. However, the 6 of them wouldn't give up just like that. This time, they came to kill Lin Xian. Moreover, the 6 of them still had their biggest trump cards that they hadn't used yet. In the next moment, Ouyang Feng snorted coldly. Kid, don't be too arrogant. Although you're very strong and beyond our expectations, do you think you can avoid being killed like this? You're too naive. No matter what means you have, today is the day you die. Li Wei sneered. What? What other means do you have? Bring them all out. I'll let you know that all means are futile in front of me. Lin Xian pointed his sword forward. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Ouyang Feng snorted coldly. Then, the 6 of them looked at each other and nodded heavily. The 6 of them snorted coldly. Light erupted from their bodies, and the spiritual power in their bodies surged. Then, a silver mark appeared between their eyebrows. The light shone, and it was extremely strange. Silver runes quickly crawled out from the mark and covered the 6 of them in an instant. In the next moment, the 6 of them shone with silver light, and their aura suddenly skyrocketed. The terrifying energy formed a huge storm that enveloped the entire valley. Even the surrounding martial artists who were spectating the battle felt their bodies hurt from the force of the energy storm. What? They're still hiding their strength. What's going on? This aura is too terrifying. What's that silver rune mark? Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe it. If 1 or 2 of them had hidden their strength, they could still believe it. However, the 6 of them had hidden their strength together, and they had hidden a lot of it. This was definitely not something that an ordinary person could do. There must be a secret on the 6 of them. Furthermore, that silver rune imprint was truly too strange, causing them to feel a sense of trepidation. Lin Xian was also very surprised. He didn't expect the 6 of them to be able to increase their strength by so much at the same time. It was too surprising. Silver runes? They must have obtained some kind of mysterious energy. I wonder if it's man-made or something else? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. The resurrection of the 6 of them was already too surprising. He didn't expect them to be so powerful. It seemed that they must have had an unknown adventure. Ouyang Feng and the other 5, their bodies shone with silver light. They felt that they had powerful strength, and suddenly laughed. Ha ha, kid, you're dead this time. I think the 6 of us don't need to attack together. One of us can kill him. After obtaining the energy of the silver rune, the 6 of them became arrogant again. Among them, Li Wei took a step forward. Kid, let me blow your head off with one punch. 5 form fist. The golden fist turned into a wave and rushed forward quickly. This energy was more than twice as strong as before. Pun! Suddenly, the sword light that filled the sky was blasted back by this punch. Even the sword she dimmed a lot. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were shocked. It seemed that the silver rune mark was really mysterious. It could increase a warrior's energy by so much. After Li Wei succeeded in his punch, he also laughed to the sky. That was because he felt that he alone would be able to kill Lin Xian. Kid, did you see that? This is my strength. Die obediently. Li Wei was like a god of war, looking down at Lin Xian. On the other side, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Li Wei's strength had indeed increased. He could even compete with him. However, he could only contend against him. It was impossible for him to defeat him. Because before, he didn't use all of his strength. I don't know what kind of adventure you had, and I don't know what your silver rune mark is. But if you want to defeat me with this little strength, it's undoubtedly a fool's dream. Lin Xian said coldly. A fool's dream? It seems that you're still naive. I'll let you know what regret is. Li Wei sneered. He once again waved his 5-element fist and quickly attacked. Chapter 1759. Ouyang Feng and the rest did not make a move because they also felt that Li Wei could defeat Lin Xian after activating the power of the runes. In the sky, Li Wei swung his 5 elemental fists. Seawater surged on one side and flames surged on the other. The two opposite energies collided in the air, forming a terrifying light that quickly shrouded Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted and waved the 9 darkness demonic sword in his hand. It was like a black lightning bolt. Hum! In the next moment, the sword radiance turned into 2 black dragons that intertwined with each other. The terrifying sword chi rushed into the sky and instantly split the energy in the sky. Azure Dragon Break. In the sky, the terrifying sea of flames and the sky was split open by the sword, creating a vacuum. Not only that, a sword radiance rushed into the sky like a black dragon and went straight for Li Wei. What? He's still hiding his strength. Li Wei's pupils constricted when he saw that. He was not a fool and could naturally see that his opponent had become stronger. Thinking of that, his scalp went numb. He waved his 5 elemental fists and quickly retreated. He wanted to avoid the shocking sword. Behind him, Ouyang Feng and the rest were also shocked. 1 or 2 of them even made a move. They had just gained the upper hand and could not be suppressed by Lin Xian again. However, the sword was too fast. It was like a flash of lightning and instantly pierced Li Wei's body. Poof! Li Wei was directly penetrated by the sword chi and nailed to the ground. Hum! The sword chi hummed and turned into a black dragon that enveloped Li Wei and destroyed his vitality. What? He was killed! Seeing that, everyone widened their eyes. Ouyang Feng and the rest were in disbelief. Li Wei was killed. What a joke! They could not believe it at all. Li Wei's strength was in the top 3 among them. At that moment, he had activated the power of the silver runes and was extremely terrifying. In fact, there were very few people among the younger generation in this primitive forest who could compete with Li Wei. Even so, he was still killed by Lin Xian's sword. Damn it, this kid is too strange. Hurry up and kill him! There could not be any more accidents. Ouyang Feng roared angrily. He had a bad feeling, so he ordered the other 4 to attack with all their might. In the next moment they moved. Silver light flickered on each of their bodies. Like 5 silver flashes, they quickly pounced forward. 6 God's sword art! Lin Xian also shouted. With a wave of his arm, 4 sword god phantoms appeared in his dragon sword's spirit domain. Every one of them was extremely sharp and terrifying, as if they were real gods of death. Kill! In the next moment, Lin Xian led the 4 sword phantoms and quickly charged forward. Pung pung pung! Not only that, but Lin Xian's dragon sword domain also emitted a series of dragon roars. A great battle erupted, and it was abnormally intense. However, it didn't take long for those black-clothed men to be pierced by the sword shadows and nailed to the ground. The only one who was still alive was Ouyang Feng. However, at this moment, his face was also filled with madness. He simply could not accept this reality. How could this be? How could the other party be so strong? he had single-handedly killed 5 of his comrades. One had to know that his comrades all had the silver mark given to them by their master. That energy was enough to make them laugh at their peers. Now, the 6 of them joined forces and still couldn't defeat the other party. "Damn it, even if all those people are killed, I can still kill you alone!" Ouyang Feng roared angrily, and the silver light on his body shone even more brightly. The silver mark between his eyebrows flickered with an incomparable light. His body was filled with an extremely terrifying aura. However, Lin Xian on the other side also frowned. It had to be said that this Ouyang Feng was stronger than the other 5. However, no matter how strong he was, he had to kill the other party today. Therefore, in the next moment, he waved the demonic sword in his hand and slashed out streaks of shocking sword chi. Boom! The demonic sword streaked across the sky like a black river, surging over. With a sharp aura, it directly cut open the sky. However, at this moment, the aura emitted from Ouyang Feng's body became even stronger. On his body, the silver light was like lightning, and even the scales of a demonic beast flickered. His body, which was originally more than 3 meters tall, quickly became 7 to 8 meters tall. His limbs were thick, like a human-shaped demonic beast. Whoosh! Ouyang Feng's body swayed slightly, and like a silver lightning, he instantly dodged the terrifying sword chi. On his body, the silver light was like a silver flame, burning fiercely, causing his strength to increase by several times. It had to be said that this silver mark was too mysterious. It could actually increase a martial artist's strength by so much. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were also extremely shocked. In particular, the martial artists from the 4 symbols sacred grounds were even more shocked. This was because the current Ouyang Feng, other than not having the primordial demon elephant's nose, was like an primordial demon elephant. His 4 huge feet could crush mountains and rivers, and his eyes were red like a wild beast. His body was covered with silver scales, and he was completely a standing primordial demon elephant. "Kid, the origin of this silver mark is extraordinary. It's definitely not something you can imagine. And my current strength is also not something you can imagine. Therefore, in this battle, you will definitely be killed by me. Say these words after you succeed." Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved the 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand again. The sword chi filled the sky and was incomparably sharp, directly slashing down on Ouyang Feng. Ouyang Feng roared angrily. Like a wild beast, he did not dodge at all. Instead, he raised his fist to meet the attack. At this moment, his fist was like a silver mountain, extremely dazzling. Clang! The silver fist and the black demonic sword collided, causing an earth-shattering collision. The explosion turned into an energy storm that swept out in all directions. Lin Xian frowned. Ouyang Feng's strength had indeed increased and was almost on par with his. Moreover, Ouyang Feng's body was so strong that it could contend with his demonic sword. It was indeed shocking. "Haha, kid, don't struggle anymore. My current strength is already increasing. It won't be long before I tear you to pieces." However, Lin Xian snorted coldly. "It's just an external force. After all, it doesn't belong to you. You can't unleash its full power. Today, I'll let you know what true heaven-defying combat strength is." Lin Xian turned into a bolt of black lightning and quickly rushed forward. The 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand turned into a black dragon that kept roaring. The sword chi was too terrifying. It could devour the sky and split the earth, as if nothing in the world could stop it. In an instant, it arrived in front of Ouyang Feng. The terrifying black sword chi quickly descended. Clang! 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 Ouyang Feng roared again and again. He waved his silver palm and quickly resisted. The silver light collided with the sword chi that filled the sky, causing clanging sounds. Chapter 1760. The silver light collided with the sword light in the sky, producing a clanging sound. The energy was too terrifying. It was like 2 volcanoes erupting at the same time, blowing up the entire void. The ground sank and the entire valley collapsed. black holes appeared one after another. Ah! Roar! Ouyang Feng roared crazily. Silver runes shone all over his body and his eyes were bloodshot. At that moment, he seemed to have lost his mind and pounced forward like a mad beast. Humph, it's not my own power. You can't do it! Lin Xian's gaze was firm. The sword chi on his body was like a rainbow. The great dragon sword soul revolved quickly and a terrifying power swept out in all directions. Boom! There was another fierce collision, followed by blood splattering everywhere. This time, Ouyang Feng could not take it anymore. His silver light was cut open and countless cracks appeared on his palm. Not only that, but his body was also sent flying, causing the ground to crack. Buzz! Lin Xian quickly caught up with him like a shadow. The demonic sword in his hand emitted a black light like a black sun and slashed down. The sword was so powerful that even the eyelids of the elders in the distance twitched. Ouyang Feng's body was also cut in half by the sword. The silver light in the sky disappeared and blood stained the ground. The entire valley was silent. The 6 members of the Dark Coalition were all killed. Lin Xian held the killing sword in his hand and looked like a sword demon. After a moment of silence, the surrounding cultivators let out a series of exclamations. They could not believe that the final winner was Lin Xian. One should know that the 6 members of the Dark Coalition were all very powerful. At that moment, they were all killed by a single person. It could be said that it was a feat that defied the natural order. At that moment, many people looked at Lin Xian with fear in their eyes. As for the people that held grudges against Lin Xian, their expressions grew even more gloomy as they frowned. They knew that Lin Xian was definitely a powerful enemy. He would probably be their nightmare in the future. Those who did not have a grudge against Lin Xian and yearned for power were extremely excited. Their eyes were red. They felt their blood boiling and wanted to roar at the sky. It was as if he was fighting alongside Lin Xian. That was because this kind of hot-blooded battle scene had really infected them. There were even many people who wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to kill Lin Xian. Because of the previous battle, they knew that Lin Xian must have expended a lot of energy, and might even have suffered serious internal injuries. Therefore, this was the best opportunity. However, Lin Xian didn't give them a chance. After killing Ouyang Feng, he left the valley at lightning speed. The previous battle had indeed consumed a lot of his spiritual energy, so he didn't want to give those people a chance to attack. Humph! Seeing Lin Xian dashing out of the valley, a group of people from the surrounding mountain peaks dashed towards him like a ghost. These people weren't of the younger generation, but rather middle-aged or elders. They were the experts of top powers who were taking action. They wanted to clear the obstacles for their sex genius disciples. Because Lin Xian was undoubtedly a powerful enemy. But soon, they returned with dark faces. That was because Lin Xian was too fast, and they couldn't catch up to him. There were also shouts from those who wanted to form an alliance with Lin Xian, or invite Lin Xian to join them. But there was no response. Like a ghost, Lin Xian left the valley completely and shuttled through the forest continuously. But soon, he stopped and even frowned. That was because there was a figure in front of him blocking his way. Lu Mingwei. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He didn't expect Lu Mingwei to be the one blocking him. She was able to keep up with his speed and even predict his escape route. He had to admit that she was definitely a terrifying woman. That's right, it was indeed Lu Mingwei standing in front of him. She was like a fairy, but there was a trace of coldness on her beautiful face. Lu Mingwei didn't say anything, but her eyes were shining brightly and streaks of chaotic qi appeared on her body. Buzz! In the next moment, 2 streaks of chaotic light burst out from her eyes. Like sharp swords, they pierced through the void and pierced forward. Humph! Lin Xian coldly snorted. Since his opponent dared to compete with his soul power, he naturally wouldn't be afraid. So, in the next moment, his eyes also flickered. 2 streaks of golden light turned into golden swords and collided with his opponent's chaotic light. Bang! The 2 soul powers collided. Then, a terrifying explosion of energy swept out in all directions. A small crack appeared in the void, and the surrounding forest was cut in half. This kind of attack was too terrifying and dangerous. The slightest carelessness could seriously injure a cultivator. After the collision, the two of them didn't attack again. Lin Xian was astonished. His opponent's soul power was actually so powerful that she could contend against him. It had to be said that it was really too shocking. Lu Mingwe was also astonished. She didn't expect Lin Xian's soul power to be so powerful. Furthermore, after such an intense battle, he was still able to contend against her attack. It seemed that he was indeed extraordinary. He was a peerless enemy. So, in the next moment, she said in a deep voice, "Don't worry. Don't worry. I won't attack you right now. However, you've still killed the cultivators of my all beginnings holy land. It's impossible for you to survive like this. In the next 7 days, my organization and I will attack you. If you can contend against us, then this grudge will be settled. If you can't, then I'll have avenged my fellow disciples." After saying that, Lu Mingwe didn't wait for Lin Xian's reply. She turned into a streak of chaotic light and left the forest. Revenge? All beginnings holy land? Lin Xian coldly snorted. His eyes flickered. Sure enough, his opponent still wanted to attack him. However, he wasn't afraid. He wanted to see what kind of methods this outstanding disciple of the all beginnings holy land had. If she was too weak, he wouldn't mind sending her on her way. Not long after Lu Mingwe left, Lin Xian also quickly moved. He returned to that safe place and started cultivating. He wanted to recover the energy he'd lost and the injuries he'd sustained. He even took out the 5-colored divine stone and started absorbing it. The 5-colored divine stone flickered with incomparably resplendent light. Tens of thousands of multicolored rays of light fell down and enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian also operated the immortality secret art and started absorbing the 5-colored divine stone. The surroundings were extremely quiet. There wasn't the slightest bit of sound. Suddenly, Lin Xian's heart jumped. He discovered that he seemed to have entered the world within his body. The 5-colored divine stone outside had actually followed him in. This was too strange. He hadn't planned to enter this world at all. Yet, he'd arrived in the world within his body. Chapter 1761. In the next moment, he opened his eyes with difficulty and realized that he was still in the outside world. The scene from before was like a dream. The 5-colored divine stone was still floating in front of him. Was it really an illusion? Lin Xian was puzzled. He stood up and realized that the exhausted energy and injuries on his body had been healed. Lin Xian could not understand. He knew that the world in his body was very magical, and the 5-colored divine stone was even more so. Could it be that the two were related? After studying it for a while, he still could not figure it out. Therefore, he did not bother about it anymore. Now that his injuries were healed, he wanted to continue heading into the depths of the forest. Because he wanted to see how vast this forest was. On the other hand, Lu Mingwe went back and began to contact her Bright Moon organization, preparing to hunt down Lin Xian. There were only 7 days. She had to kill him within these few days. Otherwise, it would be too troublesome for him to recover completely. Lu Mingwe's plan was very good, but she did not know that Lin Xian had already recovered completely. According to Lu Mingwe's original plan, Lin Xian could not have recovered so quickly. This was because this place was very strange. Warriors could only absorb energy through elixirs and subdivine crystals. It was very difficult to absorb energy from the outside world. Not to mention possessing such a magical item like the 5-colored divine stone. Therefore, it would take at least 3 to 4 days for him to recover completely from such an intense battle. And during this period of time, it was absolutely fatal for a martial artist. Unfortunately, Lin Xian had the art of longevity, and could absorb the surrounding spiritual energy. Moreover, he had the 5-colored divine stone. This allowed him to recover completely in less than half a day. Therefore, when Lu Mingwe led her people to Lin Xian's lair, they found that he had already left. Damn it, he ran away! Search, we must catch him! Lu Mingwei snorted and gave the order. On the other hand, Lin Xian did not care about this pursuit at all. Ling Xian, the Crimson Dragon, and the little white monkey advanced into the depths of the primeval forest. Along the way, they were very careful, avoiding the powerful monster kings, and kept moving. Finally, they gradually approached the depths of the primeval forest. Looking into the distance, the terrifying aura in the surroundings was getting denser and denser, and the surrounding trees were also getting bigger and more luxuriant. In fact, some of the trees were as big as a mountain. They were so huge that it was hard to believe. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed, but Lin Xian still hadn't arrived. However, the environment here was even more spectacular than the outside. It was as if they had returned to the ancient times. In front of them was a continuous mountain range. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon sped up, preparing to cross the mountain range. They did the same. However, when they crossed the mountain, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were stunned. Because the scene behind the mountain range was completely different from what they had imagined. They thought that there was a vast forest behind the mountain range. But reality wasn't like that. In front of him was a vast expanse of white bones. Big and small, grotesquely shaped, they covered the ground. From afar, it looked like a white wave. Their surroundings were also quiet, without the slightest sound. This was because aside from Lin Xian's group of 3, there were no other living creatures here. What was going on? Where did the bones come from? Lin Xian was shocked. What had happened here before? He was too surprised. Previously, in the primeval forest, he had seen many corpses and bones, but the number of corpses there couldn't be compared to here. In front of him was a sea of bones. It was extremely terrifying, and he couldn't see the end of it. This was definitely not caused by an ordinary battle between monsters. The Crimson Dragon's expression was also solemn. He said in a deep voice, "Kid, this should be an ancient battlefield." An ancient battlefield? Lin Xian was shocked. The Crimson Dragon nodded heavily. Yes, an ancient battlefield. There must have been an earth-shattering battle here. But what kind of battle was it? I don't know. But it might have something to do with the seal of the oblique moon world. Hearing this, Lin Xian fell silent. He knew that the sea of bones in front of him might hide a huge secret. Although the scene in front of him was terrifying, Lin Xian still decided to take a look. He carefully walked forward. In front of him was a vast expanse of white. Those bones had been asleep for who knew how long, and at this moment, there was still a terrifying murderous aura on them. This aura was very terrifying. Ordinary kings wouldn't dare to approach it. However, Lin Xian was different. The sword chi formed by the great dragon sword soul surrounded his body, completely isolating the terrifying aura. Just like that, Lin Xian walked forward. Buzz! Suddenly, the white bone on his left exploded, and a terrifying figure charged towards him. Who is it? Lin Xian's scalp went numb. He suddenly shouted and quickly retreated at the same time. He didn't expect that there would be someone here. And someone who could attack him. Could it be someone from the ancient era? Lin Xian didn't know, but he didn't dare to be careless. Not only that, but he also saw the other party. It was a middle-aged man. He was very dignified, and his body was surrounded by divine light. He looked like a god of war. A terrifying fist blasted towards him. Oh no! This aura is at the almighty level! Lin Xian's pupils constricted. He used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps to dodge to the limit. However, he realized that he couldn't dodge at all. The fist was too fast. It arrived in front of him in an instant, and blasted towards him. Damn it! Lin Xian shouted coldly. In the next moment, he waved his arm and countless sword chi formed an azure dragon divine shield in front of him, blocking the shocking blow. Poof! In the next moment, the terrifying fist blasted on the azure dragon divine shield and strangely passed through it. Not only that, the fist quickly blasted towards his body. What? Lin Xian's scalp went numb when he saw this scene. This was too strange. However, in the next moment, he was stunned. That was because he realized that when the terrifying fist collided with his body, it actually passed right through him without causing him any harm. What's going on? Lin Xian didn't understand why he wasn't hurt. However, in the next moment, he frowned again. That was because behind him, the pile of bones suddenly exploded. A white figure was like a shocking rainbow that quickly charged towards him. It was a woman with a beautiful face. She was dressed in white and held a blue killing sword in her hand. She was like a flying immortal as she quickly stabbed towards Lin Xian. This sword was very terrifying. It was far beyond any sword technique that Lin Xian had ever seen. Therefore, in an instant, it pierced his body. However, something strange happened again. The long sword seemed to be transparent, and didn't cause any damage to him at all. What's going on? Lin Xian was stunned. However, in the next moment, he snorted coldly. Golden light shone in his eyes, accompanied by mysterious Tao patterns. Heavenly secret divine eyes! Chapter 1762. At that moment, Lin Xian activated a pair of golden eyes and looked around. Soon, he was stunned because he realized that the otherworldly flying immortal behind him and the domineering middle-aged man in front of him were all illusions. They were illusions that did not exist and were long dead. What a terrifying place! It can actually make me hallucinate without me knowing! Lin Xian's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. If he did not have the heavenly secret divine eyes, he probably would not have discovered the abnormality here. One had to know that it was just too unbelievable. His soul power was extremely powerful and very few people in the younger generation could contend against it. His soul power could even contend against mighty figures. But here, he was still affected by the illusion. One could imagine that if other kings were here, they would probably collapse. As expected of the ancient battlefield, it's really terrifying. Lin Xian was shocked. At that moment, the Crimson Divine Forest transmitted a voice. Kid, be careful. The resentment here is very strong. I'm afraid even mighty figures will be affected here. Hearing that, Lin Xian nodded and continued to use the heavenly secret divine eyes. A faint golden light swept in all directions and the illusory figures were destroyed. Lin Xian stepped on countless bones as if he was climbing a mountain and walked forward. In front of him, there was a huge black sword that covered the sky and pierced the clouds. Although the sword was carved from stone, it still exuded a terrifying aura. Lin Xian faced it like an ant facing a dragon. What is this? It can emit such a terrifying aura! Lin Xian looked at the huge sword in front of him with a shocked expression. I'm not resigned to this. Suddenly, an earth-shattering sound entered Lin Xian's mind. Hearing this sound, Lin Xian's scalp went numb and his hair stood on end. A golden light bloomed in his eyes. Who is it? Get out here! It's too scary. Could it be another illusion? But that should not be the case. He had already activated the heavenly secret divine eyes. Logically speaking, no illusion could fool him. But what was with the voice in his mind? After looking around, he did not find anything out of the ordinary. Thus, his gaze once again locked onto the enormous black sword in front of him. I can't accept this. Sure enough, it didn't take long for Lin Xian to hear such a voice in his mind. Could it be that the voice was coming from the piercing heaven divine sword? Lin Xian was shocked, and his scalp went numb. What was going on with this gigantic black sword? Who put it here? What was the point? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He couldn't figure it out. Therefore, when he asked the Crimson Dragon and Black Earth, both of them shook their heads. It couldn't be helped. They might still know a thing or two about the outside world. However, the Tilted Moon mysterious world had been sealed a long time ago. They had no idea what had happened here. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He felt that the huge black sword in front of him must have some kind of secret. Therefore, he walked forward and took a closer look. Perhaps he could discover something. The gigantic black sword was incomparably tall. Ancient patterns were engraved on it, and it exuded a prehistoric aura. This was all that Lin Xian could see. Upon closer inspection, the black sword was surrounded by a black mist that blocked Lin Xian's vision. Even with the heavenly secret god eyes, he couldn't see through it. Perhaps it was because it was too far away, or perhaps it was because Lin Xian's heavenly secret god eyes was not fully cultivated. Or perhaps it was because the gigantic sword was too mysterious. Regardless of the reason, more than half of the gigantic sword was shrouded in black mist, making it seem even more mysterious. Lin Xian walked forward again, wanting to take a closer look. He even wanted to feel the gigantic sword. However, he soon frowned because he realized that he couldn't rely on the gigantic sword. In the area 10 miles around the heavenly colossal sword, a terrifying spatial domain was formed, preventing anyone from entering. Furthermore, the black mist in front of him surged, forming a terrifying black space. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the countless white bones around him rose into the air and flew forward. As soon as they entered the black space, they seemed to be blasted into nothingness by a powerful force. Nothing was left behind. What a terrifying black space! Lin Xian was shocked when he saw this. These white bones had existed for countless years without being destroyed. However, they were instantly blasted into nothingness by the black space in front of him. This power was simply too terrifying. Therefore, Lin Xian didn't dare to act rashly. He could only walk slowly around the edge of the black space because he wanted to see what was behind the gigantic sword. Perhaps he could discover something? Therefore, Lin Xian moved again. However, Lin Xian was extremely surprised when he told him to go around the gigantic sword. That was because he saw a figure standing there. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. As the gigantic sword was huge and surrounded by a special black domain, Lin Xian couldn't see the other side at all. But now, when he circled around, he found that there was a figure standing on the other side of the giant sword. Just like him, the figure was staring at the gigantic sword intently. However, in the next moment, the figure in front of him suddenly turned around and stared at Lin Xian. It seemed that the figure didn't expect anyone to come here. Buzz! In the next moment, the figure attacked. Originally, Lin Xian was stunned when he saw the figure. He even suspected that he was hallucinating. However, when the figure attacked, he immediately reacted. This was definitely not a hallucination. It was different from the previous attack. This was a terrifying killing move that could take his life. Therefore, Lin Xian didn't hesitate at all. He stomped his foot and quickly moved to the side. However, at this moment, another terrifying attack appeared behind him. It was a crescent-shaped sword ray. It was extremely sharp and easily cut the void in half. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He didn't expect there to be an attack behind him. It was too shocking. Therefore, in the next moment, he used the Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps. His speed was extremely fast. He turned into an afterimage on the spot, and instantly dodged. Pfft! The crescent-shaped sword chi cut Lin Xian's afterimage apart, and quickly disappeared. Lin Xian had already appeared on the other side. Not only that, but sword chi surrounded his body. His gaze was extremely sharp as he stared straight ahead. That was because he realized that the other party was an extremely terrifying person. He had never met such a person before. In front, the figure also turned around with a trace of surprise in his eyes. That was because he didn't expect the other party to be able to dodge his attack. Chapter 1763. The figure in front also turned around with a trace of surprise in his eyes. He didn't expect the other party to be able to dodge his attack. One had to know that his attack was extremely terrifying. Very few people of the same level could contend with it. Even the older generation experts couldn't escape from his hands. But now, there was someone who could easily dodge his attack. He was simply too shocked. That person was surprised, and so was Lin Xian. Because now, he could see the other party clearly. The other party was only a young man in his 20s. He was wearing a black robe and had an ordinary face. However, his aura was extremely extraordinary. "You're very skilled to be able to dodge my attack. It's indeed rare," the young man said calmly. "Who are you, Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. Although the other party wasn't as dazzling as the Alcade Sage or Yu Wudao, Lin Xian instinctively knew that the other party was definitely not simple. Who are you? Before you ask your opponent, shouldn't you introduce yourself first? The black-robed young man said calmly. I'm Long Xian, a rogue cultivator. Lin Xian revealed his current identity. Long Xian? A rogue cultivator? I don't think so. Could it be that you're Lin Xian, the one wanted by the Alcade's sacred land recently? The black-robed young man revealed Lin Xian's identity. Hearing this, Lin Xian's face immediately darkened. There was even killing intent in his eyes. He didn't expect the other party to see through his identity so easily. It was too surprising. Who are you? This time, Lin Xian's voice was much colder. He had no choice. He couldn't reveal his identity now. Otherwise, it would cause a massacre for no reason. Therefore, he couldn't allow his identity to be exposed. Don't be nervous. Whether you're Lin Xian or not doesn't have much to do with me. I'm just guessing. Could it be that you want to kill me? The young man said calmly. As for who I am, when you beat me, I'll naturally tell you. Otherwise, you have no right to know my name. Only by defeating him would one be qualified to know his name. Such words were simply too arrogant. These words did not match the temperament of the black-clothed youth. However, Lin Xian felt that it was only natural, because he could feel how powerful the other party was. Sure enough, in the next moment, the other party attacked again. The black-robed young man's body emitted a dazzling light. However, Lin Xian's pupils abruptly shrank. That was because dozens of attacks had suddenly appeared in front of him, less than a meter away. This kind of attack speed was too terrifying. He had never seen anything like it before. If it was an ordinary person, they would not have been able to dodge at all and would have been killed immediately. Fortunately, Lin Xian executed Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps. His entire body transformed into a stream of light as he instantly left his original location. Boom! Boom! A spatial crack appeared where he had been standing. What incredible speed! Lin Xian was shocked. He hadn't noticed it the last time, but now that he was exchanging blows with his opponent, he felt that his opponent's attacks were too strange. With such a long spatial distance, his opponent was able to attack him in an instant. It was simply unbelievable. It was as if his opponent could ignore space. He can still dodge it. Not bad. Interesting. The black-clothed youth nodded slightly. Then, he waved his palm, and a sky full of multicolored light instantly attacked Lin Xian again. The multicolored light was initially around the black-clothed youth, but in an instant, they were near Lin Xian. They appeared from all directions, stabbing at Lin Xian's vital points. Lin Xian kept dodging, narrowly avoiding these attacks. However, his face became more and more gloomy because he realized that this was not the way to go. That was because no matter how fast he was or where he appeared, there would always be terrifying attacks by his side. That made it impossible for him to shake off his opponent. Therefore, in the next moment, he stopped dodging and stopped moving. A sharp light quickly appeared on his body. Sky-shaking sword! A terrifying sword light tore through the sky and slashed in all directions. At that moment, the entire space turned into a sea of sword principles, with countless sword chi surging and roaring. However, the black-clothed youth did not move at all. When the sword chi got close, the black-clothed youth waved his palm, and suddenly, the sword chi was inexplicably transferred to other places and fell with a loud bang. However, the black-clothed youth was not injured at all. This was... Lin Xian was astonished. Such a defensive technique was simply too bizarre. It could actually transfer his sword chi so easily. Needless to say, it was extremely shocking. Space ability! Lin Xian frowned and his eyes flickered. He had experienced hundreds of battles and could naturally see his opponent's ability in an instant. However, he did not expect his opponent to be able to use space ability. That was too unbelievable. There were thousands of paths. Warriors cultivated wind, thunder, water, fire, sabers, spears, staffs, and swords. Some could even control poison gas and some could control plants. Of course, there were also people who could control space. Even time. However, the latter two types of warriors were too rare. They were almost non-existent. Lin Xian had never thought that he would encounter a monarch who could control space. No wonder his opponent was so domineering and confident. That was because there was a rumor in the world that space was king and time was supreme. In other words, in the face of a space warrior, all methods were futile. Hearing Lin Xian's words, the black-clothed youth revealed a smile. That's right. I am indeed a space warrior. Your sword chi is very sharp. This kind of sword technique is rarely seen. Unfortunately, in front of my space territory, you have no chance of winning. Retreat. Leave this place and I can spare your life. The black-clothed youth said in a deep voice. Leave this place? Hearing that, Lin Xian frowned and shook his head slightly. In this world, no one can order me around. No one can make me do things that I don't want to do. On the opposite side, the black-clothed youth's face turned cold. Since that was the case, don't blame me for being rude. As soon as he finished speaking, ripples appeared in the surrounding space, spreading out in all directions like water ripples. In the next moment, Lin Xian felt that the place he was in had changed. Although the environment did not change, Lin Xian could feel that he was enveloped by his opponent's space territory. Sure enough, the space around him quickly formed a vortex as if it was going to tear his body apart. It really is the power of space. What a strange technique. Lin Xian used his power to resist the power of space. It had to be said that space warriors were too terrifying. Just by using the power of space, they could easily tear their opponent apart. At this moment, Lin Xian also felt a great sense of danger. The terrifying power of space quickly enveloped him. It was about to tear his body apart. Chapter 1764. The terrifying power of space quickly enveloped him. His body was about to be torn apart. Scram! Lin Xian shouted coldly. Light bloomed from his body, and the terrifying sword chi destroyed everything around him. This included the incomparably strange power of space. In an instant, the space around Lin Xian shattered like a mirror, and a pitch-black vortex appeared. As for him, he stood in the middle of the whirlpool like a demon god. Seeing this, the black-robed youth frowned. He did not expect his opponent to have such a move. He knew that his opponent's sword chi was fierce, but he did not expect it to be so fierce. It could even cut through his power of space. This was too shocking. It was not a joke to say that space was king. He had never been defeated since he was born. Even the older generation could not last more than a few moves against him before being torn apart by the strange power of space. Other than the saints from the eastern wilderness holy lands who could fight against him, no one else was his match. However, he did not expect this youth to be able to fight against him. This was beyond his expectations. Lin Xian, I will remember you. You are not bad. Although you are not a disciple of a top sect, your battle strength is already at the top of the younger generation. You are qualified to know my name. Remember, my name is Gu Santong. Gu Santong. Hearing this name, Lin Xian was shocked. He asked in a deep voice, You are a disciple of the Gu family, a clan of the ancients? That's right. Gu Santong nodded slightly. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. No wonder his opponent was so powerful. He was a martial artist from a clan of the ancients. He did not expect so many great forces to come to the Crescent mystic world. First, there was the genius of the Yi family, the Alcade Saint, and the All Beginnings Holy Land. Now, even the Gu family had come. He wondered what other terrifying characters were hiding in the dark. The Black Earth left. The Crimson Dragon sent a voice transmission. Kid, be careful. The Gu family is a very powerful family. Moreover, the Gu family has produced a great emperor. Their strength and foundation are very strong. Moreover, the Gu clan's original unique skill was the void technique. Now that this young man is a space elemental king, His void technique must be even more terrifying. Void technique. Hearing this, Lin Xian was also extremely shocked. Although the clan of the Ancients and the Peerless Sanctuary were the most powerful forces in the eastern wilderness, a family that had produced a great emperor was even more terrifying and powerful. And the young man before him was the descendant of the great emperor. This was probably the strongest opponent he had encountered so far. However, Lin Xian was not afraid at all. Instead, his blood was boiling. So what if the other party was a descendant of a great emperor? He had the great dragon sword spirit and was the successor of the great dragon sword. One had to know that the first successor of the great dragon sword was also a great emperor. Therefore, he was not afraid of anyone. Come on! Let me see how strong a disciple of a remote antiquity family is, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. On the other side, Gu Santong's lips curled up. You'll see. Then, he waved his hand and a bright light burst out. Hand of the Void! A cold shout reverberated in all directions. Lin Xian shone brightly. Sword chi circled around his body as he prepared for the upcoming battle. But soon, Lin Xian frowned. This was because he did not sense any attack. This made him extremely suspicious. Could it be that the other party was just bluffing? But in the next moment, a purple light palm suddenly appeared above his head and slammed down fiercely. Boom! With an earth-shattering sound, the place where Lin Xian was shattered by the purple palm. Boom! A terrifying energy burst out and swept out in all directions. The entire space was shattered. The purple light enveloped everything. Humph, it's over! On the other side, Gu Santong said in a deep voice. He was not surprised by this result. One had to know that the Gu clan's void technique was extremely powerful. No one could withstand it. Moreover, he was a space element king who was proficient in space. It could be said that the void technique was even more terrifying in his hands. However, in the next moment, he frowned and his eyes flashed. Then, his body completely merged into the void. Poof! A sword light pierced from behind, piercing through the void. However, it was still one step too late. Gu Santong's body had already disappeared. When the sword god's shadow disappeared, Gu Santong's body appeared once again. His expression was serious as he looked ahead. He was no longer as casual as before. Fortunately, he was proficient in space techniques. Otherwise, that attack would have been enough to kill him. Therefore, at this moment, he looked ahead, his eyes flashing. His opponent had withstood such a terrifying attack and was still able to threaten him. He had to admit that he was very surprised. He even suspected that his opponent was not killed. As expected, the purple energy in front of him gradually disappeared. The shattered void also quickly healed. Then, a figure appeared. Beside Lin Xian, the dragon sword territory flashed and formed a huge azure dragon divine shield, protecting his body. To be honest, that palm was too sudden. There was no warning, and it was very fast. It enveloped him in an instant. At this critical moment, he could only passively defend. In the end, he managed to resist the purple palm. However, the terrifying power of the palm also caused him to be injured. Lin Xian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with his palm. His eyes flashed. As expected of a disciple of the Gu family, he was indeed strong. He was able to injure him in one move. He was too shocked. He had rarely been injured like this in previous battles. He did not expect his opponent to injure him so quickly. The void technique combined with the space territory was indeed very powerful. Lin Xian was shocked. Gu Santong was even more shocked because he realized that his opponent was indeed injured. However, it was not a fatal injury. This made him suspect that he had fallen into an illusion. One had to know that the purple palm could easily kill a 6-star king. Even the older generation experts would not be able to survive if they were hit by it. However, his opponent only spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. His foundation was not damaged at all. He did not expect this to happen. On the other side, Lin Xian pulled out the 9 darkness demonic sword and said coldly, "You are very strong. You are worthy of my full strength. With the demonic sword in hand, the dragon sword territory flashed. Lin Xian's aura continued to rise. It was as if a divine sword had been unsheathed. Kill! His entire body turned into a ray of light. His speed was extremely fast, and he arrived in front of Gu Santong in an instant. Humph! It's useless! Gu Santong snorted coldly. He used the void technique and his body completely merged into the void, disappearing. Puff! Lin Xian's sword pierced through the air. However, he was not upset. His expression was calm. He was like a god of death, looking around disdainfully. Chapter 1765. Lin Xian's sword missed, but he was not upset. His expression was calm, and he was like the god of death, looking around. He knew that no matter how strong his opponent was, he could not hide in the void forever. His opponent would definitely come out. Not long after, the void on the other side rippled, and Gu Santong's figure appeared. Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps. Lin Xian used his ultimate skill, and the gale boots on his feet shone brightly, increasing his speed beyond compare. Therefore, the moment Gu Santong's body appeared, Lin Xian was already beside him. The terrifying demonic sword flashed with sword chi, and it slashed down fiercely. What? So fast! Gu Santong was shocked. He did not expect his opponent to be so fast. He had just appeared, and his opponent was already here. He even suspected that his opponent was using spatial techniques. In the next moment, his figure flickered again, and he disappeared. However, the next time he appeared, he would be attacked by Lin Xian. Moreover, Lin Xian's speed was getting faster and faster, and even his black robe was being pierced by his opponent. Gu Santong was shocked. His opponent's speed was too fast. He had never seen such speed before. It was like teleportation. He knew that this could not go on. He had to attack, or he would be in danger. Gu Santong roared, and his eyes lit up. Thereafter, a series of horrifying attacks appeared out of nowhere around Lin Xian. These attacks were too strange and too fast. This was true teleportation. Seeing that the attacks were about to engulf him, Lin Xian shouted coldly. He waved his sword, and a pitch-black hole appeared in the void. That black hole was like an abyss beast, and it swallowed all the attacks. What? Spatial mystique! Seeing this, Gu Santong was shocked. However, he quickly shook his head in denial. Although the scene just now was very similar to his spatial ability, he could clearly sense that it wasn't a spatial ability. This guy broke the void directly! Gu Santong was extremely shocked. He realized that Lin Xian had used his superior battle prowess to shatter the void and forcefully destroy all the attacks. This was too shocking. One had to know that he could do this because he was a spatial king and knew how to use space. As for the other party, he had directly shattered it with a tyrannical attitude. It had to be said that it was really too shocking. You're very strong. You're a genius of the younger generation. Gu Santong's expression was serious. But you are no match for me. Because I didn't use my full strength earlier. If I go all out, I'm afraid you won't be able to block it. So, for your safety, I advise you to leave this place. I don't want to kill anyone. Leave here? Impossible. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Cut the crap. Lin Xian's body glowed with light. Seeing Lin Xian's insistence, Gu Santong did not say anything else. In the next moment, his aura became even more terrifying, as if he had merged with the surrounding void. He was the ruler, and he could control this space. Boom! Gu Santong stretched out his palm and closed his fingers. Lin Xian's body stiffened. He felt that the space around him had solidified and was pressing down on him continuously, as if it was going to crush him into a bloody mist. Creak! Creak! Lin Xian's bones could not stop shaking. Open! Lin Xian snorted coldly. The great dragon sword soul in his body spun wildly. Terrifying sword chi surged out of his body and swept in all directions. At this moment, his body seemed to have turned into a peerless divine sword. It was extremely sharp. Lin Xian's body glowed with light. Suddenly, a powerful force appeared and shattered the surrounding space. Crack! 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 Countless cracks appeared under Lin Xian's feet and spread in all directions. It was as if this space could not withstand Lin Xian's power. What? He can still withstand it! On the opposite side, Gu Santong frowned, his expression extremely serious. His space shackle was one of his ultimate techniques. It was extremely terrifying. Even a 6-star king would be crushed into a bloody mist in an instant. There was no way for him to resist. However, his opponent could withstand it. Not only that, but he could even move. This was almost enough to break his ultimate technique. Looks like I can only banish you. Gu Santong's expression was solemn as he said coldly. In the next moment, his eyes shone brightly as he waved his arms rapidly. Eternal banishment! Boom! The void split open and a black hole appeared, swallowing Lin Xian completely. In the next moment, the surrounding space trembled rapidly like a painting. Then, it returned to its original state. As for Lin Xian, his figure disappeared. Eternal exile, this was an extremely terrifying spatial absolute art. It could throw a martial artist into an ice-cold universe. It was equivalent to being banished and could never return. Although it did not kill the opponent immediately, it was equivalent to finishing off the opponent. Because no one who was banished for eternity could ever return. Eternal banishment. Lin Xian completely disappeared from this space. On the opposite side, Gu Santong heaved a sigh of relief. He had finally finished off a powerful opponent. This battle was extremely intense for him. Other than the saints of the sacred grounds, he rarely encountered such a powerful opponent. Sighing in relief, Gu Santong once again looked at the giant sword in front of him. In a flash, he was about to comprehend the energy on it. However, at this moment, he frowned and stared at the space behind him. It was peaceful there, but Gu Santong's eyebrows were twitching wildly, as if something was about to happen. Boom! As expected, in the next moment, there was an earth-shattering sound. The space behind him shattered and a figure flew out quickly. Like a sharp sword, it appeared from the darkness. What? He's out! Seeing this, Gu Santong's pupils dilated in disbelief. That's right, the person who came out was Lin Xian. He flew out from the eternal banishment. If someone was here and saw this scene, they would definitely cry out in shock. Because this was too unbelievable. One had to know that the eternal banishment was an extremely terrifying ability. No martial artist who was banished has ever returned. But now, Lin Xian had actually broken this rule and directly killed his way back. One has to admit that this was too heaven-defying. Indeed, Gu Santong was stunned. He did not expect his opponent to be so powerful that he could escape from the eternal banishment. You are very strong. I cannot defeat you for now. But you cannot defeat me either. Let's call this a draw, Gu Santong said in a low voice. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. Indeed, although he could escape from the eternal banishment, he was not confident that he could kill his opponent. Because his opponent's space technique was too strange. It was almost undefeatable. Chapter 1766. Although Lin Xian could escape from eternal exile, he was not confident that he could kill his opponent. This was because his opponent's space mystique was too strange. It was almost undefeatable. Unless his dragon sword soul made another breakthrough and greatly increased his battle power, he would be able to cut open the entire space and make it impossible for his opponent to hide. As for now, he was not confident of winning. However, it was likely that his opponent was the same. He could only threaten him, but it was impossible for him to kill him. Both of them knew this, so they did not continue fighting. Instead, they gathered together to talk. Lin Xian asked his opponent about the situation here, and his opponent asked Lin Xian about the primeval forest. Because Gu Santong always stayed near the giant sword and rarely went out, he did not know much about the outside world. Both of them took what they needed. After chatting for a while, they realized that their personalities were quite similar, and they became friends. Haha, was this what they meant by no discord, no concord? Gu Santong also laughed heartily. A person like Lin Xian was enough to threaten him, so it was better to be friends than enemies. Next, the two of them began to cultivate near the giant sword. According to Gu Santong, the giant sword had an extraordinary origin and had been around for a long time. In this period of time, he even figured out two cultivation methods. The first was to absorb the black gas on the giant sword into the body. This could temper a martial artist's body. The second was to understand the Tao patterns on the giant sword. This could perfect one's martial arts mystique. With Gu Santong's reminder, Lin Xian also began to cultivate according to these two methods. As expected, after absorbing the black gas, Lin Xian could feel his body growing stronger. It was as if he had become a prized artifact, invincible. As for the Tao patterns on the giant sword, they were even more mysterious. To understand them, one would have to spend a lot of time and effort. In the end, even the Crimson Dragon came out. He also wanted to understand the Tao patterns. The two of them and the dragon cultivated silently here. As for the little white monkey, it was playing in the sea of bones. About 10 days later, other figures appeared in the vicinity. These people all had powerful auras. It was obvious that they were all experts. When those people saw this scene, they were very serious at first. But slowly, he got used to it. All of them wanted to uncover the secrets of the ancient sword of heaven. After a few more days, more and more people gathered in the surroundings. Some people even began to set up camp near the Sea of Bones, preparing to comprehend the Tong Tian divine sword for a long time. Lin Xian even found some familiar faces. It seemed that most of the ancient martial art practitioners in the primeval forest had rushed over here. Actually, it was quite normal when he thought about it. Because the sea outside the primitive forest had been sealed, it was impossible for them to leave. Therefore, they could only explore the depths of the forest. Sooner or later, they would return to the heaven-reaching sword. Those who arrived later naturally also discovered Lin Xian. When they saw Lin Xian, they were all shocked and even had looks of disbelief on their faces. Did something happen? When Lin Xian saw their shocked expressions, he grabbed one of them and questioned him. A martial art practitioner was grabbed by Lin Xian and brought to his side. He was so scared that he almost wet himself. Because he saw with his own eyes how Lin Xian killed Ouyang Feng and the other 5 experts. He had an instinctive fear of Lin Xian. However, when he realized that Lin Xian was just asking about something, the martial art practitioner heaved a sigh of relief. So he quickly told him what he knew. It turned out that the news of Lu Mingwei bringing people to hunt down Lin Xian had already spread. These people thought that Lin Xian had already been killed. But they did not expect that he would appear near the heaven-reaching sword. This really shocked and surprised them. Because the Bright Moon organization that Lu Mingwei belonged to was a very powerful organization in the primeval forest. If they wanted to kill someone, no one would be able to escape. So it was about this. After Lin Xian heard this, he let the other party go. Then, his eyes flickered. The other party really brought people to hunt him down. But thinking about it, they should be going crazy now. Because these days, he had not appeared in the periphery of the forest. Instead, he had been cultivating here. How could the other party find him? However, this also made him fearful. From the looks of it, Lu Mingwei really did want to get rid of him. Just because he hadn't appeared on the street before didn't mean she wouldn't make a move now. Since he would have to fight sooner or later, he decided to take the initiative. Of course, he had to figure out the situation with Lu Mingwei and the others. So, his body blurred, and he flew around. Because he saw a familiar figure. Leaf Dao Denier. Yes, Leaf Dao Denier was here. He was dressed in white, and looked handsome and spirited, like a god of war. Even in a crowd, he could be seen at a glance. Brother Leaf! Lin Xian came to Leaf Dao Denier's side. Should I call you Brother Long or Brother Lin? Leaf Dao Denier asked with a smile. Brother Lin? You know? Lin Xian was shocked. He hadn't expected that Leaf Dao Denier would know who he was. Yes. Leaf Dao Denier nodded. After you killed Ouyang Feng's group of 6, I guessed who you were. Indeed, he hadn't suspected anything before. But not long ago, Lin Xian's battle with Ouyang Feng's group had shocked him. The battle prowess Lin Xian had displayed was far too powerful. It didn't seem like something a wandering cultivator should possess. Combined with the latest news, Leaf Dao Denier guessed that Long Xian was Lin Xian, the man wanted by the Wavering Light's sacred land. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Since you've guessed who I am, are you going to make a move against me? Why would I make a move against you? Leaf Dao Denier shook his head. First, given my status, I don't need to curry favor with the Wavering Light's sacred land. Second, given my talent, I don't need to know about the existence of the Heaven's legacy race. Therefore, I won't make a move against you. What a confident man! Lin Xian sighed in amazement. Leaf Dao Denier and Gu Santong were both geniuses of the primordial aristocratic families. They were different from ordinary cultivators. They were extremely confident in themselves. Such people were extremely powerful and terrifying. Lin Xian smiled when he heard the other party's words. That's good. I don't want to lose a friend like you. Next, the two of them went to a quiet place and set up some wine and barbecued meat. You didn't appear these past few days. I thought you were really dealt with by those people from the All Beginnings Holy Land. Leaf Dao Denier picked up a cup of spirit wine and slowly said, No. I've been near the heaven-reaching sword for the past few days. But given Lu Mingyue's personality, she shouldn't have given up. Sooner or later there will be a great battle between her and me, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. But you don't seem worried at all? Leaf Dao Denier said. I warned you that Lu Mingyue is extremely powerful. She's even stronger than Ouyang Feng. I even speculate that she has the qualifications to become the all-beginning saintess. Chapter 1767. She really is a terrifying opponent. That's why I've decided to take the initiative. I can't be passive. Take the initiative? What are you planning to do? Leaf Dao Denier was shocked. Isn't Lu Mingyue hunting me down? She must have brought quite a few elites with her. In that case, their Bright Moon organization's base will be very weak. If I attack their base at this time, they will be very weak. Leaf Dao Denier raised an eyebrow. It seemed Lin Xian was serious this time. Indeed, at this time, the Bright Moon organization's base is very weak, but not everyone can compete with them. Are you confident? Of course. Lin Xian nodded. But I can't act rashly. Bright Moon and Yan Qing's Thorn Flower Alliance. There's also Sun Yang's Wind Follower. They have a good relationship with Bright Moon. Moreover, the distance between these organizations is also very close. Leaf Dao Denier's eyes flashed. He sent people to investigate the situation, and it didn't take long for news to reach him. It turned out that Yan Qing and Sun Yan had also set off together with Lu Mingyue. Humph! That woman actually brought so many experts to hunt me down. It seems she really isn't scrupulous. Lin Xian sneered. Since that's the case, I won't hold back. I'll uproot all of their organizations. Let's see if anyone dares to provoke me. Lin Xian bade farewell to Leaf Dao Denier and left to make preparations. The night was gloomy, and the atmosphere was heavy. There was even an aura of death. At night, the Sea of Bones was even more terrifying. It was like hell itself, and emanated an aura that caused one to tremble. However, no one noticed that within the Sea of Bones, there was a figure that was moving rapidly like a ghost. It was naturally Lin Xian. He was so fast that ordinary kings wouldn't be able to detect him. Before long, he left the Sea of Bones and headed for the forest. The sky was dark, and the stars twinkled. From time to time, wild beasts would appear in the forest, but Lin Xian nimbly avoided them. With his powerful soul power and Tianji divine eyes, Lin Xian was like a fish in water, moving swiftly and fiercely in the darkness. Lin Xian finally arrived at the headquarters of the Bright Moon Alliance, Then, he hugged his arms and a huge mountain peak appeared quickly. Then, it expanded rapidly like a real mountain and pressed forward. Boom! With a loud bang, the building in front of him was directly shattered. Blood flowed out from the cracks. This change directly alarmed many people. Instantly, many people rushed out. Who are you? How dare you attack the Bright Moon Alliance? Are you tired of living? These people were abnormally angry. They must be one of the top organizations in this primeval forest. Usually, no one dared to provoke them, but now, someone actually dared to attack them. This was intolerable to them. But in the next moment, when they saw Lin Xian, they were stunned. One by one, they screamed, "Damn brat, it's actually you!" They naturally recognized Lin Xian because their boss, Lu Mingwei, had led countless experts into the forest to hunt him down. But they did not expect him to come to their headquarters. Thinking of this, they felt a chill in their hearts. Seeing the surrounding martial artists, Lin Xian's eyes flickered and he snorted coldly. These people were not very strong, so he directly handed them over to the Crimson Dragon. He held the demonic sword in his hand and walked quickly like a god of death. He wanted to find the strongest person here and kill him directly to prevent the other party from escaping. The Crimson Dragon sneered and waved its dragon claws. Suddenly, a huge array enveloped the surrounding area. Then, he began to attack the martial artists of these organizations. The little white monkey was in charge of robbing their treasures. Lu Mingwei and the other experts were not here, so the Bright Moon Alliance was very weak at the moment. They could not resist the counterattack of Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. Suddenly, screams sounded one after another. This change attracted the attention of the Windswept Organization and the Thorned Flower Organization. Soon, the two organizations sent martial artists over. When they saw the destroyed Bright Moon Organization, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. Damn it, the Bright Moon Alliance was destroyed by someone. Who is it? How dare he be so bold? Does he want to die? Lu Mingwei was a genius of a generation and had countless elite experts under her command. She was extremely powerful. Ordinary people did not dare to provoke her, but now, her Bright Moon Alliance was destroyed by someone. This was too bold. Lin Xian held the killing sword in his hand and jumped high from a mountain peak. He landed on the ground and blocked these people. You want to attack me too? His voice was unusually cold. What? Damn brat, it's you! When the people of the Thorned Flower Alliance and the Windswept Organization saw this, their faces turned ugly. They did not expect that it was Lin Xian who did it. This was too unbelievable. They had to spread the news and inform Yan Qing and Lu Mingwei. Otherwise, the consequences would be terrible. Kill! Hurry up and run away and spread the news! Angry roars sounded one after another. Then, these people moved and fled in all directions. But then, a flickering light array descended from the sky and sealed the entire space. At the same time, Lin Xian's cold voice sounded. If you want to kill me, you have to pay the price. Then, the light behind him shone and the dragon sword realm instantly enveloped everyone. The shocking sword chi was like a long river, carrying a terrifying killing aura as it swept in all directions. When all the light disappeared, everyone fell to the ground and their blood flowed like a river. This scene was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian was untainted by a speck of dust. His entire person was like a god fiend, terrifying to the extreme. Let's go to the Thorned Flower Alliance! Lin Xian did not hesitate at this moment. He quickly moved and flew toward the Thorned Flower Alliance. The other party had joined forces with so many people to kill him. How could he show mercy? Therefore, at this moment, he turned into a killing god. Not long after, the Thorned Flower Alliance was destroyed. Then, Lin Xian went to the Windswept Organization. Soon, the Windswept Organization also disappeared. Not a single person escaped. This battle naturally alarmed the other organizations. However, when they saw a tall figure like a killing god in the array, releasing shocking sword chi, they all retreated. They only dared to watch the battle from afar. They did not dare to go forward. That was because the aura was too shocking. It made them tremble. Moreover, from the other party's cultivation technique, they guessed that the person who did it was Lin Xian. Now Lin Xian was like a taboo in their eyes. No one dared to provoke him. Therefore, these people only dared to watch and did not dare to make a move. The next day, after Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon left, these people sent martial artists to investigate. Chapter 1768. The next day, after Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon left, these people sent warriors to investigate. However, the news they received made everyone suck in a breath of cold air. Bright Moon Organization, Thorn Flower Alliance, Wind Follower Organization. The three major organizations were all uprooted overnight. Shocking, it was too shocking. These three organizations were extremely terrifying. When they joined forces, they were invincible. Usually, no one dared to provoke them. They were a colossus. But now, it had been completely destroyed in a single night. It had to be said that this was absolutely shocking news. Lin Xian had annihilated the three major organizations by himself. This news swept through the entire primeval forest like a gale. A day later, Lu Mingwei, Yan Qing, and the others also knew. Then, their faces turned gloomy and ferocious. They could not wait to kill their way back. Damn it! That was too despicable! These experts were driven mad. They went out to hunt down Lin Xian, but they did not expect that their base would be uprooted. This was too shameful. At the thought of this, they were furious. Let's go back! I must kill him! Yan Qing gritted his teeth in anger. Lu Mingyue's expression was cold. She had underestimated him. She did not expect him to have such determination and strength. He dared to annihilate the alliance of the three major organizations. It seemed that he had to be eliminated this time. Otherwise, in the future, he would definitely be a disaster. On the other side, Sun Yang was also gritting his teeth. Other than them, the other experts also had gloomy expressions. This time, they had lost a lot of face. They had probably become the laughingstock of the entire primeval forest. If they wanted to wash away this shame, they had to kill Lin Xian. These people were all ferocious. Their expressions were cold and murderous. They quickly rushed back into the distance. When they saw that their nest had been destroyed beyond recognition, they all roared at the sky. A powerful aura swept out in all directions. Everyone's scalp went numb. They knew that these three organizations were really angry. They were probably going to pursue Lin Xian endlessly. Although it was shocking that Lin Xian had wiped out three major organizations in one night, Lin Xian didn't dare to underestimate Lin Xian. However, they knew that this was only possible when there were no elite experts around. Otherwise, Lin Xian wouldn't have been able to succeed so easily. Moreover, no one dared to look down on Lu Mingwei and the others now because they were a top-notch organization. Very quickly, Lu Mingwei and the others found out that Lin Xian had actually appeared near the Bone Sea Divine Sword. Upon receiving this news, they immediately rushed forward with murderous intent. They had to get rid of the other party, or they wouldn't even be able to sleep well. Lu Mingwei, Yan Qing, and Sun Yang joined forces. He brought a large group of experts with him. With a murderous aura, he flew toward the heaven-reaching sword. When the surrounding martial artists heard this news, their scalps went numb. They set out as well. When the cultivators at the Bone Sea saw Lu Mingwei and the others, they exclaimed in surprise. They knew that there would be a great battle soon. Therefore, the other organizations and alliances all warned their subordinates to retreat quickly. At the very least, they had to return to a safe place and not get involved. For a time, the entire Bone Sea was filled with undercurrents. The atmosphere was tense to the extreme. Very soon, those people discovered Lin Xian. At this moment, Lin Xian was standing near the heaven-reaching sword. Sword light flashed all over his body, forming an inexplicable connection with the heaven-reaching sword in front of him. It was as if he was a sword god. This scene shocked everyone. They had long known that this heaven-reaching sword was incomparably mysterious, and contained strange Tao patterns on it. If one could comprehend it thoroughly, it would definitely bring great benefits to oneself. However, this Tao pattern was very mysterious. It was very difficult for ordinary people to comprehend it thoroughly. But looking at Lin Xian's appearance now, could it be that he had comprehended it thoroughly? Thinking of this situation, these people's scalps went numb. Moreover, those people who came to hunt him down had gloomy expressions. They knew that they had to make a move as soon as possible and absolutely could not give the other party a chance. Otherwise, if they allowed the other party's strength to increase again, they would probably all suffer a calamity. Damn thief, get over here and take care of me! You actually dare to destroy the three great alliances. Today, you will die without a doubt. Brat, if you surrender obediently, we might give you a quick death. Otherwise, today, you will suffer a fate worse than death. Cold and angry roars came one after another. These voices awakened Lin Xian from his cultivation in enlightenment. In the next moment, he silently turned around and swept his cold eyes around. Feeling this gaze, many people trembled and felt a chill in their hearts. They realized that they actually did not dare to look Lin Xian in the eye. But soon, some people clamored again because they had the numbers advantage. Not only that, but there were also a few elders and powerhouses who came this time. These people also had connections with the various major factions. They were even the elders of the same sect as Lu Mingwei and the others. These people were also worried that if Lin Xian continued to grow, he would become a scourge. Therefore, they decided to take advantage of this opportunity to eliminate him. Immediately, dozens of figures charged towards Lin Xian like lightning. Looking at this scene, Lin Xian did not move at all. However, the light on his body became even more resplendent. Soon, 6 sword shadows condensed behind him. One was as red as blood, and the other was as blue as water. One was as heavy as a mountain, and the other was as hot as fire. One was as sharp as gold, and the other was as black as ink. 6 God's sword technique. Lin Xian's eyes turned. Suddenly, the 6 sword lights behind him quickly condensed and formed 6 shining divine swords that quickly slashed down. Boom, boom, boom! In the dazzling light, shocking sword lights swept in all directions. 6 huge sword chi directly drowned the area in front of them. Boom! The dozens of warriors who rushed over were instantly slashed into a bloody mist. Not only that, but the terrifying sword aura also spread out in all directions. What? They were killed in an instant. That kid's swordsmanship has become stronger again. Damn it, run! Those sword chi are too terrifying. Furious roars could be heard one after another. Following which, countless warriors fled frantically. They could not withstand the 6 terrifying sword chis at all. Lin Xian had his hands behind his back and looked down at everyone like a demon god. Damn it, he has become stronger again! Opposite him, Lu Mingwei and the others' faces were gloomy. The surrounding elders and powerhouses' eyes flickered and their hearts were filled with killing intent. Genius! Powerhouse! This was everyone's evaluation of Lin Xian. However, it was also because of this that they urgently wanted to eliminate Lin Xian to prevent future trouble. Sun Yang was the first to attack. He waved his hand and a few warriors beside him immediately moved. Transparent wings appeared behind their backs. At this moment, they were actually flying rapidly in the air. This scene was too shocking. One had to know that in this space, flying was already restricted. Others could not fly, but now these people could actually fly. This was simply too shocking. Chapter 1769. This scene was too shocking. One had to know that in this space, flying was already restricted. Others couldn't fly, but these people could actually fly in the air. This was simply too shocking. Lin Xian was also shocked. He did not expect the other party to have such a technique. However, in the next moment, he sneered. The people in the sky did not dare to get close at all. They directly attacked downwards from high up in the sky. Streaks of terrifying energy blasted downwards, intending to smash Lin Xian into pieces. Lin Xian, on the other hand, waved his hand and 6 terrifying sword auras surged behind him, forming a terrifying sharpness. It directly cut through all the attacks. Not only that, the sword chi almost hurt the few flying warriors in the sky. However, those warriors had wings like monsters behind their backs. At this moment, their movements were abnormally agile, and they quickly dodged the soaring sword chi. Ha ha! It's useless! In a situation where everyone can't fly, we have wings. We are invincible! In the sky, those kings dodged the attacks and sneered. Invincible? What idiots! Lin Xian's lips curled into a disdainful smile. Do you really think you can be so awesome just because you have wings? He snorted coldly, then his body swayed, and he continuously stepped in the air. In the next moment, Lin Xian appeared in the sky. Boom! With a stomp of his foot, he directly kicked a dancer to death. What? So fast! Seeing this scene, everyone's scalps went numb. As for those martial artists in the sky, they turned pale with fright. They did not expect the other party to appear in front of them in an instant. What kind of technique was that? They had never heard of it before? Hurry up and fly higher! We must not let this kid attack us! These people hurriedly flapped their wings and flew higher. Lin Xian, on the other hand, felt the power of laws rapidly surge towards him, forcing him to descend. Therefore, he did not continue forward. Instead, his body swayed, and he returned to the ground. Seeing this scene, the kings in the sky heaved a sigh of relief, but Sun Yang and the others looked gloomy. The other party's speed was too shocking. This was not good news for them. Therefore, they decided to get rid of the other party as soon as possible to avoid any more complications. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly. Did he think that flying high was enough? Watch me destroy you! With that, he stretched out his palm and closed his fingers. Void Heaven Hand! Lin Xian coldly shouted, and the light on his body became even more resplendent. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked, thinking that the other party was going to use some kind of ultimate technique. But after waiting for a long time, he still didn't see Lin Xian use any attack. Ha ha! I'm dying of laughter. Do you think you can scare us with your fierce words? You're really an idiot. We are not to be trifled with. In the sky, those kings with wings sneered. As far as they were concerned, the other party was just bluffing. Wang Peng! However, in the next instant, a large purple palm appeared out of thin air above them and rapidly slapped down. Immediately, the martial artists who could fly in the sky were slapped away by the large purple hand and landed on the ground. Not only did they land, but they were also smashed into pieces, and their blood dyed the ground red. Under such shocking power, these people had no ability to resist at all. What? How can this be? Seeing this scene, Sun Yang's face darkened. Originally, he thought that gaining the upper hand in the sky and suppressing Lin Xian would be a very effective method. Even if he couldn't kill the other party, he would be able to deal a serious blow to the other party. However, he didn't expect that the other party would be able to break through his high-altitude suppression in just a moment. Even the martial artists he sent out were all killed. This was too unbelievable. Damn it, how did he do it? The appearance of that purple palm was too strange. Lu Mingwei and the others also frowned. Under normal circumstances, those martial artists in the sky could definitely dodge the attack with their agility. However, this palm came too suddenly. Those kings didn't even have time to react before they were slapped to death. If this attack appeared on them, would they be able to dodge it? These people felt a chill in their hearts. They had no confidence at all. However, the older generation figures and elders all frowned. Void Heaven Hand, that's the Gu clan's ultimate technique. Damn it, is this kid a disciple of the Gu family? Hearing this, the surrounding martial artists exclaimed. What, the Gu family's ultimate skill? Is he from that clan of the ancients? Thinking of this, they gasped and looked at Lin Xian. Their scalps tingled. If the other party was really a disciple of the Gu family, they would be in big trouble. The Gu family was a clan of the ancients, a family that had produced a great emperor. It was extremely terrifying. That's right, this is the virtual sky hand, just like the rumors. Kid, who are you? How can you know the Gu family's ultimate skill? Cold shouts came one after another. They were too shocked. They had to figure out the other party's identity. Otherwise, they might not be able to fight this battle. In fact, no one knew that this was indeed the Gu family's ultimate skill. However, it was Lin Xian's divine ability. This was the virtual sky hand that Lin Xian had evolved using the great dragon sword soul. At this moment, Lin Xian was extremely satisfied with the amount of power he had unleashed. Lin Xian did not answer the doubts of those people. He said coldly, "If you want to fight, then hurry up. If you don't want to fight, then get lost. Don't waste my cultivation time. You're courting death. Kid, you're too arrogant." The elders and experts shouted coldly. They had never been reprimanded like this before. Therefore, in the next moment, Lu Mingwei and the others also waved their hands. Suddenly, more than 20 figures rushed out quickly. They charged towards Lin Xian. Not only that, but an incomparable light flashed in the sky, forming a huge energy shield to prevent the purple palm from appearing out of nowhere. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved his hand. Countless sword chi appeared behind him and turned into a huge sword screen, blocking in front of him. The attacks in the sky collided with the sword screen, causing it to shake violently. However, in the next moment, these attacks were all reflected back. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the energy exploded and swept in all directions. Many warriors were affected. However, at this moment, a clear and beautiful voice sounded. Everyone attacked together. "Kill this kid!" This was Lu Mingyue's shout. Sure enough, with Lu Mingyue's words, the surrounding warriors attacked more and more. As for Yan Qing, Sun Yang, and the others, they led their own teams and quickly charged over. Even some of the older generation figures attacked. This scene was too terrifying. Only Lin Xian could contend against it. If it were anyone else, they would probably be slapped into a bloody mist in an instant. Chapter 1770. In the face of such a terrifying attack, Lin Xian naturally wouldn't just passively defend. Therefore, in the next moment, his figure flashed into the crowd like lightning and started killing in all directions. The Crimson Dragon and the Snow White Monkey also came out to help Lin Xian. The three were like dragons entering the sea, extremely powerful. Buzz! Lin Xian opened the dragon sword's spiritual domain and quickly rushed forward. Countless sword chi swept out and instantly pierced through 5 kings. Not only that, more than a dozen people were injured. Everyone was shocked because they realized that Lin Xian was simply too powerful. So many people attacking together couldn't suppress him. Instead, they were suppressed by him. One had to admit that this was simply too shocking. Boom! 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 A sea of lightning surged and quickly engulfed Lin Xian. On the other side, the sky was filled with saber lights, forming a curtain of saber lights that ruthlessly slashed down. Lin Xian's figure was like lightning as he used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps to increase his speed. He quickly shuttled through the air and dodged most of the attacks. If he couldn't dodge, he would use the Azure Dragon Divine Shield to block. Boom! However, at this moment, an elder-level king seized the opportunity and quickly sent out a palm strike. The golden palm light soared into the sky and carried with it a power that could topple mountains and overturn seas. It ruthlessly slapped towards Lin Xian's back. This palm strike was simply too powerful, causing Lin Xian to frown. He held the 9 darkness demonic sword in his hand and swung it backwards. A huge spatial crack appeared behind him and swallowed that terrifying palm strike. In the next moment, he suddenly turned around and the 6 sword chi behind him flew out and instantly pierced through the elder-level king. Pun! 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 Blood dyed the elder-level king red as his body was pierced through by the sword chi and fell to the ground. Seeing this scene, everyone felt their scalps go numb. Even an elder-level king couldn't block Lin Xian's sword. It was simply too terrifying. Humph! Lin Xian coldly snorted as the 6 sword lights behind him quickly transformed into 6 illusory figures that accompanied him. 6 Gods Sword Art. At this moment, the 6 Gods Sword Art was being executed by Lin Xian to the extreme. The 6 Paths Sword Body doppelgangers moved quickly and attacked continuously. With each strike, a king would fall. In a short period of time, the number of kings around Lin Xian rapidly decreased, and the blood all flowed into the ground. The horrifying white bones turned even more demonic at this moment, emitting a torrential killing aura. On the other side, the Crimson Dragon waved its dragon claws and wielded 2 killing arrays. It was like an invincible god of slaughter. Originally, there were hundreds of people surrounding them, but soon, there were only about 100 people left. In an instant, more than half of them were gone. Damn it, he's too strong! Those who were still alive felt their scalps go numb. They wanted to escape. However, at this moment, Yan Qing roared angrily. He has killed so many people. He must have used up all his spiritual energy. Let's join forces and kill him quickly. Hearing this, everyone was tempted again. Indeed, Lin Xian's battle prowess was too strong, but it seemed that he had consumed even more. Therefore, they decided to give it a try. Otherwise, they would not be able to account for the deaths of so many people. You still want to fight? Seeing this scene, Lin Xian sneered. Then let's see who runs out of energy first. Lin Xian attacked again. He was not worried about running out of energy. Not to mention the large amount of energy in his hands, just the immortality chant alone made the energy in his body several times that of a king of the same level. He was almost on par with a mighty figure. Lastly, he could absorb the surrounding energy to replenish himself. This was something that other kings and even mighty figures could not do. Therefore, Lin Xian's battle prowess was the same as in the outside world. It would not decrease at all. Sure enough, when more than 50 people were killed again, the remaining dozens of kings finally realized this problem. Damn it, how is this possible? His power hasn't decreased at all? Instead, he has become even stronger. Demon! He's a demon! Everyone, run! At this moment, those people finally could not bear it anymore and quickly fled. As for the older generation figures in the distance, their bodies swayed, but they did not attack again. That was because the other party was too dangerous. He could kill the older generation experts with a raise of his hand. Such a person was indeed terrifying. Now that they were not confident of winning, they naturally would not attack. However, not everyone retreated. There were still some kings in the field, led by Lu Mingwei, Yan Qing, Sun Yang, and the others. They would not let Lin Xian go. Lin Xian was simply too powerful. He was like a demon king, slaughtering everyone until they were utterly defeated. Therefore, for a moment, other than those who were still watching the battle, there were not many people left in the field. Of course, those who were able to stay until now were definitely experts. Buzz! A huge vine turned into a green whip and lashed at Lin Xian. It was too terrifying. It was like a long green river that shone brightly. Black Dragon Fist of Destruction! Lin Xian shouted coldly and punched out. Then, the green vine was directly pierced through. It's you! Lin Xian turned around and stared at Yan Qing. That's right, it was indeed Yan Qing who attacked. He finally could not help but attack. Brat, how dare you destroy my Thorn Flower Alliance? You deserve to die. Now go to hell! Yan Qing shouted angrily. Behind him, countless rays of light shone and formed a huge thorned flower. The thorned flower emitted a terrifying aura like a peerless monster that suppressed the sky. Not only that, countless green shadows flickered near the thorned flower, like a forest in the sky. It's Yan Qing! He attacked! Seeing this, the surrounding kings exclaimed. They looked at the green scene in front of them, and were shocked. Yan Qing is a plant-type king. He's extremely strange. I wonder if he can defeat that brat? Discussions rang out as Lin Xian, who was standing in front of the crowd, quickly made his move. Seeing Lin Xian rushing over, Yan Qing snorted coldly, and the thorned flower behind him shone brightly. At the same time, countless huge flowers formed in the sky. They were extremely beautiful and looked like shooting stars. The waving petals carried a sharp killing intent that could easily pierce through the void. Buzz! The petals filled the sky and formed a terrifying killing intent that swept towards Lin Xian. Boom! Lin Xian roared and his body shone brightly. He held the killing sword in his hand and rushed over quickly. With a swing of his sword he shattered the petals that were filled with killing intent. Not only that, but he was also extremely sharp. Every swing of his sword pierced through a thorned flower. Flower blooms for a lifetime! Yanqing shouted coldly and waved his hand. Suddenly, countless vines surged under the thorned flower petals and formed a green energy that surrounded Lin Xian. The poisonous thorns were extremely sharp and looked like the spears of a demon god. It was extremely terrifying. Brat, no matter how strong you are, it's useless. Turn into fertilizer under my thorned flower! The vines turned into demons and ghosts. The spears of a demon god and huge palms blasted towards Lin Xian. Chapter 1771. Humph! It's just a broken flower. I'll destroy it now! Lin Xian snorted. His body shone brightly, and the demonic sword in his hand shone brightly. Buzz! He slashed out with his sword. It was as if the Milky Way had descended, cutting through the 9 heavens. Boom! The green light in front of him was cut open, and countless vines flew in all directions. However, the corners of Yanqing's mouth curled into a strange smile when he saw this scene. Poof! In the next moment, the flying vines, which carried poisonous thorns, turned into a sky full of hidden weapons that pierced towards Lin Xian. Some of them even crashed into him. Clang! 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 An earth-shattering sound was heard, and countless rays of light burst out, covering the sky. Seeing this, Yanqing sneered. You're overestimating yourself. Do you really think that's all I have? Just you wait. As long as you're pierced by one of the poisonous thorns, your blood will become my nourishment. When the time comes, I'll use your corpse to bloom the most beautiful thorned flower. Yanqing looked extremely ferocious. The surrounding people were also shocked, and the people of the Thorned Flower Alliance laughed. Ha ha! So what if that kid is strong? He's no match for Yanqing. Of course, no one can block the poisonous thorns of the thorned flower. Those are the legendary poisonous thorns. No one below the Almighty can resist it. Cold laughter rang out one after another. Clearly, they believed that Lin Xian was beyond saving this time. That was because they had seen Yanqing use this method to kill several powerful seniors more than once. Thinking about it, that kid should not be able to escape. However, in the next moment, everyone's laughter stopped. They even widened their eyes as if they had seen a ghost. Even Yanqing was shocked and could not believe it. That was because the light in front of him had disappeared, and Lin Xian's figure appeared. However, there were no injuries on his body. The thorned flower thorns that filled the sky were all broken. What? How is that possible? He's unharmed? Everyone was shocked. Damn it, that's impossible! I don't believe it! How did he block it? Yanqing roared crazily. His thorn flower venomous thorn was even more powerful than ordinary treasure chi. It could even be compared to an earth-tier treasure. However, his opponent was completely unharmed. This was simply too inconceivable. Lin Xian snorted disdainfully. Just a small trick. Do you really think you can hurt me? What an idiot! Lin Xian sneered and thrust out his sword. Puff! Then, Yanqing's body trembled as a bloody hole appeared on his shoulder. If it had been slightly off, it would have pierced his heart. What? So powerful! Everyone who saw this scene felt their scalps go numb. This was because they did not see how Yanqing was injured. They only saw Lin Xian stab out with his sword and Yanqing was injured. What kind of sword technique was this? Wasn't it too terrifying? At this moment, the surrounding experts, Lu Mingwei, and the older generation figures all had gloomy expressions on their faces. Damn it, how is this possible? Yan Qing also clutched his wound. His face was pale. This sword had seriously injured him. Moreover, the injury was not only on his shoulder. There was an inextinguishable sword intent around his wound that directly damaged his body. Outsiders could not see it, but he could feel it. That sword technique is too sharp. I'm afraid the sword intent contained in it cannot be erased in a short time. An expert analyzed. After hearing this, the surrounding kings felt their scalps go numb. Could it be that Yan Qing was seriously injured from the beginning? This was too terrifying. Damn brat, how dare you hurt me! Yan Qing roared crazily. The thorn flower behind him shone brightly, forming a powerful vitality that poured into his body and provided him with strength. Soon, the injury on his body stopped, but his face was extremely pale. Go to hell! Yan Qing roared. His body shone brightly, and countless thorn flowers bloomed in the entire space. He stepped on the petals and quickly charged toward Lin Xian. Behind him, the huge thorn flower was like an ancient demonic beast. It was abnormally terrifying and emitted a monstrous aura. Lin Xian, on the other hand, waved his long sword and continuously slashed out sharp sword chi. Clang! Clang! The two of them exchanged blows, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. Who will win? The surrounding cultivators whispered to each other. Needless to say, it will definitely be Yan Qing. Someone said coldly. Yan Qing's thorn flower domain is not only powerful in terms of attack, but it can also absorb the surrounding spiritual energy. What? Yan Qing's thorn flower domain can absorb the spiritual energy here? Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They knew the rules of this space. It was difficult for them to absorb the spiritual energy here, but they did not expect Yan Qing's thorn flower domain to be able to do so. At this time, an older expert also said, It's not as exaggerated as you think. It's impossible to absorb 100% of it. However, it can convert a small part of it. No matter what, it has an advantage over the other kings. So, that brat is definitely dead. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. No wonder Yan Qing dared to make a move. It turned out that he was so terrifying. They had always thought that Lu Mingwe was the strongest, but they did not expect Yan Qing to be so terrifying. At this time, Yan Qing also sneered. Brat, so what if your combat power is strong? You can't last long. I'm going to exhaust you to death. As he sneered, Yan Qing waved his hand, and petals filled the sky, forming a huge flower bush that completely enveloped Lin Xian. A terrifying light burst out, wanting to completely refine Lin Xian. You want to fight a war of attrition with me? Lin Xian was stunned, then the corner of his mouth raised into a disdainful smile. The last thing he was afraid of was a war of attrition. The amount of spiritual energy he had was much higher than these people. Moreover, the art of longevity could absorb the spiritual energy here, but his opponent dared to fight a war of attrition with him. He was really courting death. However, he was not in the mood to drag it out with his opponent. In the next moment, he waved his long sword, and 6 sword chi flew out quickly behind him. The scarlet fire sword chi bloomed, and flames filled the sky, forming a sea of fire. Lin Xian raised it and slashed forward. Boom! Under this attack, the petals in the sky were burned and turned into ashes. However, Yan Qing was not angry. He knew that his opponent's combat power was strong, and he could not compete with him at all. So, he just kept using his ultimate move to exhaust his opponent's spiritual energy. In the next moment, he waved his hand again, and a huge green giant was born from the thorny flower, roaring at the sky. Boom! The green fist blasted out, and countless tree branches rushed out quickly, turning the sky into a forest in an instant. The sea of trees in the sky pressed down on Lin Xian mercilessly. At this moment, a golden sword light sliced the entire forest in half. It's useless. All your moves have no effect on me. Lin Xian's expression was cold. The 6 sword chi behind him quickly intertwined to form a sword diagram, which Lin Xian quickly slashed out. Chapter 1772. Puff. The sword diagram formed by the 6 sword lights struck Yan Qing's body, sending him flying backward. This time, Yan Qing's injuries were even more severe. Seeing this scene, everyone's expression changed drastically. As for those experts, their brows were tightly furrowed, because they realized that this was different from what they had guessed. After such a long battle, Lin Xian's combat strength should have weakened, but he didn't seem to have consumed any spiritual power at all. On the contrary, his combat strength was getting stronger. This was beyond everyone's expectations. Yan Qing's hair was disheveled, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. His entire body was filled with shock. Impossible! Why hasn't your combat strength weakened? He was really stunned because he was fighting a war of attrition. Under normal circumstances, the other party's combat strength would be almost exhausted after fighting for so long. This was because there was no external energy replenishment. But now, the other party was still full of energy, and the more he fought, the fiercer he became. It even far exceeded his expectations. Damn it, how much spiritual power does he have? Yan Qing's expression was ugly. One had to know that using a powerful ultimate move consumed a lot of spiritual power. However, the other party seemed to have no limit, and he quickly used one ultimate move after another. He was beaten until he couldn't fight back at all. So at this moment, fear rose in his heart. On the other hand, Lin Xian pointed his sword in all directions and said coldly, "He's no match for me. All of you, come at me together! Don't waste my time!" "What? Together?" Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Arrogant, he was too arrogant. He actually wanted to fight against all the King Realm experts by himself? Wasn't this an act of suicide? Sure enough, hearing Lin Xian's words, the King Realm experts' faces darkened. One had to know that they were all genius experts. Usually, no one dared to provoke them, and they were even more superior. But now, someone actually dared to look down on them. However, they really didn't want to swarm up because even if they killed the other party, they would lose face. This was because this wasn't a secret battle, and there were warriors from various top forces watching the battle. Lu Mingwei also frowned and said to Sun Yang beside her, "You go and help Yan Qing." "Okay." Sun Yang nodded and prepared to make a move. Because his organization had also been destroyed by the other party. Therefore, he would not hesitate to kill Lin Xian as soon as he had the chance. In the next moment, his figure flashed, and he arrived beside Yan Qing, fighting side by side with him. He even gave him a few healing pills. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. "Just you? It wasn't enough. Give me a few more. You're courting death. You're too arrogant." Sun Yang was furious. The other party actually dared to look down on him. This was simply intolerable. "Brat, you're too arrogant. I'll let you know how powerful I am." Sun Yang's expression was cold. In the next moment, a pair of green wings also appeared on his back. They were as thin as a cicada's wings and were almost transparent. Whoosh! Soon, the transparent wings flapped gently, and Sun Yang rushed over like a bolt of lightning. Not only that, but when he got close to Lin Xian, his body began to sway and glow. In an instant, countless clones appeared and surrounded Lin Xian. Every single one of them seemed real. Their auras were so powerful that it was impossible to tell if they were real or fake. 1,000 Phantom Kill! This was one of Sun Yang's ultimate techniques, and it was incomparably terrifying. At this moment, in order to kill Lin Xian, he had actually used it at the first opportunity. The sky was filled with flickering phantoms. Each of them could form an attack, but only one of them was real. The Real Sun Yang would hide among these phantoms and unleash a sure-kill attack. Normal King Realm cultivators couldn't tell the difference between real and fake, and they couldn't break through the countless phantoms. "Brat, obediently fall into despair under my 1,000 Phantom Kill!" A cold voice came from the void. On the other side, Yan Qing also made his move. He activated the thorn flower again, coordinating with the phantoms in the sky to attack. In an instant, a terrifying light flashed, and fierce attacks shot towards Lin Xian. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Xian waved his long sword, and black sword chi shot out, bombarding the phantoms. However, there was too much energy in the surroundings. He knew that if he couldn't find Sun Yang's real body, he wouldn't be able to break through the 1,000 phantom kill. In fact, it was very simple to break through Sun Yang's 1,000 phantom kill. He only needed to use the heavenly secret god eyes. However, before that, he needed to conceal himself. Therefore, in the next moment, the dragon sword field exploded, and a dazzling light illuminated the entire space. No one dared to look directly at it. At this moment, mysterious Tao runes appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. Together with a terrifying golden light, they swept in all directions. Soon, he found Sun Yang's real body. Whoosh! He became one with the sword, and like a true dragon, he quickly stabbed towards Sun Yang's real body. Puff! When the light that filled the sky disappeared, countless amounts of blood spurted out. Half of Sun Yang's body was cut open, and he was sent flying. He had suffered serious injuries. What? Seeing this scene, everyone felt their scalps go numb. They didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to break through Sun Yang's ultimate move in an instant. This was too inconceivable, because they didn't find any flaws at all. Damn it, how did this brat do it? Everyone's expression turned solemn. On the other side, Yan Qing also activated the thorn flower, delaying Sun Yang. He continuously channeled energy into Sun Yang, quickly healing his injuries. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He held the demonic sword and attacked again. He wouldn't give Sun Yang a chance to recover. But at this time, a sharp light suddenly came from the left side of his body. It was like the light of a celestial demon. It easily pierced through the void and stabbed towards him. Lin Xian felt goosebumps all over his body when he sensed the light. This attack was too sharp, and he couldn't take it head on. Therefore, he decisively gave up the chase and kept dodging. Buzz! The light of a celestial demon flew past Lin Xian's body and shattered the void. It turned the entire space into chaos. Chaotic light! When Lin Xian saw this, he suddenly turned around and stared at Lu Mingwei. That's right, the one who attacked was Lu Mingwei. That beam of chaotic light was so sharp that it posed a threat to Lin Xian. He had to admit that Lu Mingyue's strength was too strong. It was unbelievable. With Lu Mingyue's attack, Sun Yang and Yan Qing had a chance to escape. The two quickly retreated to a safe place to heal their injuries. Lu Mingyue was dressed in a blue dress, and she looked like a fairy. The chaotic chi in her hand rolled quickly, forming the wonton sword. The sword was 3 feet long, and it emitted a chaotic light. A terrifying murderous intent pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. At this moment, even the martial artists watching the battle trembled. As for the powerhouses, they frowned and looked solemn. In the crowd, Yi Wudao's eyes were like torches as he stared at the wonton sword. On the other side, Gu Santong, who was dressed in black and looked ordinary, nodded slightly. Obviously, he also recognized Lu Mingyue's strength. In the next moment, Lu Mingyue waved the chaotic sword and rushed forward like a divine rainbow. Chapter 1773. As the sword light flashed, a terrifying chaotic light illuminated the entire sky. A bone-chilling coldness spread throughout the world. Lin Xian's body tensed up as he felt a powerful threat. His opponent's sword of primal chaos was extremely terrifying. He let out a long roar and waved the demonic sword in his hand, forming a black beam of light that quickly swept forward. It's useless. You can't block my sword of primal chaos. Lu Mingyue's voice was calm and her face was filled with confidence. The surrounding people also quickly nodded as they had a certain understanding of the sword of primal chaos. It was the All-Beginnings Holy Land's ultimate technique, and was extremely terrifying. No one below the almighty level could contend against it. In their opinion, no matter how strong Lin Xian was, he couldn't contend against the sword of primal chaos. At this moment, even Yi Wudao and Gu Santong's nerves were extremely solemn. Clang! In the next instant, the two swords collided, creating a sky-shaking sound. This sound was like metal and stone colliding, tearing through the void and causing the surrounding mountains to explode. Many kings hurriedly closed their ears and retreated. Some who were too slow directly bled from their ears and fell to the ground. This scene was too terrifying. Just a single attack from the two of them had created such a terrifying scene. How was this a battle between two youths? Those who didn't know would think that an almighty had made a move. A terrifying light erupted as shocking energy swept out in all directions. The dazzling sword of primal chaos was suddenly covered with countless cracks and then split into two halves from the middle. What? Seeing this scene, Lu Mingyue was stunned as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her sword of primal chaos had actually been cut in half. This was simply too unbelievable. The surrounding kings felt their scalps go numb as their eyes widened. The sword of primal chaos was a weapon condensed from primal chaos chi and primal chaos light. It was incomparably sharp. It could be said to be invincible. But now, it had actually been cut in half by Lin Xian with a single strike. What kind of treasure is that black demonic sword? It's actually so terrifying that it can cut the sword of primal chaos in half? Heavens, this is too unbelievable. I'm not dreaming, right? Shocked voices sounded one after another. Clearly, no one could accept the reality before their eyes. The corners of Lin Xian's lips curled up as a cold smile appeared on his face. The other party actually dared to compete with him in swordsmanship. He was really courting death. With his 9 Hell-Demon sword and the Great Dragon Sword Soul, nothing could stop him. What's more, it wasn't a real Earth-rank treasure. It was just a light sword condensed from a technique. If he wanted to sever it, it would be very easy. Lu Mingyue coldly snorted when she saw the black demonic sword stabbing towards her once again. Primal chaos light blossomed from her body and carried her, as she rapidly retreated backwards. At the same time, Sun Yang and Yan Qing also attacked once again. 3 experts besieged Lin Xian, and the battle broke out in an instant. Sun Yang once again transformed into countless figures. This time, he did not confuse his opponent. Instead, he directly attacked. This was because he knew that illusions were useless now. Only by attacking would he be able to hurt his opponent. Therefore, an overwhelming number of figures charged towards Lin Fang. On the other side, Yan Qing also urged the Thorned Flower to unleash attacks that covered the sky. All kinds of terrifying plants filled the sky, trying to envelop Lin Xian. Lu Mingyue's expression was even colder. Balls of primal chaos light appeared on her jade-like hand. It was extremely sharp. This time, she did not form the primal chaos sword. Instead, she waved her hand and the terrifying primal chaos light turned into lightning and flew towards Lin Xian. Boom! The primal chaos light carried monstrous killing intent and was extremely fast. In an instant, it pierced towards Lin Xian's head. This scene was really too shocking. 3 great experts, each one of them was extremely terrifying. At this moment, when they joined forces, they were even more powerful. Perhaps no one could easily withstand their attacks. Lin Xian naturally sensed the danger as well. However, it was especially at this moment that he had to remain calm. With a cold snort, the great dragon sword soul in his body erupted. The terrifying dragon sword realm instantly appeared. Shocking sword light soared into the sky and turned into streaks of killing intent. He held the demonic sword in his hand and slashed out a 5-colored sword light. The long sword swept across and flattened the world. The attacks that filled the sky were sliced apart. At this moment, Lin Xian was extremely powerful. Buzz! However, there was a streak of lightning that pierced through the sword's shadows and quickly pierced towards Lin Xian. Primal chaos light! It was extremely terrifying. The light was too fast. Even Lin Xian's pupils shrank abruptly. Not only was his opponent fast, but he also grasped the timing very well. Now was the moment when he revealed a flaw. Poof! The primal chaos light brushed past his body and made a sonorous sound. Blood spurted out and a crack appeared on Lin Xian's body. He hit him! He's injured! Seeing this scene, many people cheered because they had finally managed to injure Lin Xian after fighting for so long. Even Yan Qing, Sun Yang, and the others revealed a smile. As long as they could injure him, it would be easy. They believed that if the three of them joined forces, they would definitely be able to kill him in 100 or 200 moves. However, in the next moment, the smiles on their faces froze and even became extremely ugly. Because they realized that their opponent was indeed injured. However, it was a light injury that could even be ignored. The primal chaos light had only cut Lin Xian's skin and did not hurt his bone structure at all. Even now, the wound was rapidly healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. What? How is this possible? No one dared to believe it. What kind of body was that? How could it resist the primal chaos light? One had to know that even a 6-star king would probably be penetrated by that attack just now. However, Lin Xian only suffered a light injury. This was simply too unbelievable. How could they know that Lin Xian's body had been tempered by all kinds of natural treasures? Moreover, it had been tempered by the black aura on the giant sword nearby. It could be said to be extremely tough. Moreover, in the face of danger just now, Lin Xian's body was also covered with sharp sword light. Therefore, he only suffered a light injury. Lu Mingyue's expression was also solemn. She realized that Lin Xian's strength was beyond her expectations. However, this did not change her mind. She had to kill him today. In the next moment, countless primal chaos chi surrounded her body. She held the wanton knife in one hand and the primal chaos sword in the other. A terrifying murderous aura pierced through heaven and earth, releasing terrifying power. Whoosh! In the next moment, Lu Mingyue turned into a bolt of lightning and quickly charged forward. She continuously attacked, waving the wanton knife and wanton sword rapidly. Terrifying light rushed toward Lin Xian. Boom! Boom! Lin Xian raised his sword to block, but the violent power made him constantly dodge. Not only that, but Sun Yang and Yan Qing also attacked from both sides. The three of them formed a triangle and pressured Lin Xian. In an instant, Lin Xian was in danger again. Kill! Lin Xian roared. His body glowed, and a terrifying sword light quickly circled around him. Then, he quickly counterattacked with the demonic sword in his hand. Chapter 1774. He knew that Yan Qing and Sun Yang were nothing to worry about. Lu Mingyue, who was in front of him, was the real enemy. Only by killing her could he be out of danger. Otherwise, the chaotic light was too much of a threat to him. 5 Elements Sword! Every time Lin Xian swung the sword, a terrifying sword chi would be unleashed. This was the 5 Elements Sword, which was evolved from his 5 Elements Fist. Now that it was combined with the Great Dragon Sword Soul, its attack power was terrifying to the extreme. 5 Elements Technique? You're not from the 5 Elements sect at all. You can't unleash the full power of the 5 Elements Technique. Lu Mingyue sneered disapprovingly. However, in the next moment, she was stunned. The kings in the surroundings were also shocked. That was because they realized that Lin Xian's sword was too terrifying. The sword light shone and was extremely terrifying. A flaming phoenix quickly rose into the sky with the demonic sword. The terrifying flame aura swept through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. What a terrifying flame aura! It was not inferior to the 5 Elements Technique at all. Some experts were extremely shocked. Even the faces of those from the 5 Elements sect changed drastically. Damn it, how did this kid know the 5 Elements Technique? Where did he learn it from? The flaming sword light shocked everyone. Buzz! The flaming phoenix sword's aura was monstrous. It directly tore through the void and slashed towards Lu Mingyue. Chaos Technique! Lu Mingyue's nerves were extremely solemn. She knew that this sword was very dangerous, and she had to resist it with all her might. In the next moment, she waved her hand and the chaotic aura on her body quickly circulated. With a wave of her palm, thousands of chaotic lights followed and slapped forward. Boom! The two collided and directly pierced through the void. A terrifying energy storm swept in all directions. Even Sun Yang and Yan Qing did not dare to resist this energy. The two of them did not even dare to attack Ling Xian and quickly retreated. The surrounding kings were also shocked and kept retreating to a safe distance. The sea of bones below was extremely demonic. It flickered with light, and no one even noticed that the blood on the ground was absorbed by the sea. Not only that, the energy storm created by the battle between Lu Mingwei and Lin Xian did not have much effect on the Sea of Bones. It was as if there was a mysterious power around the Sea of Bones. After one strike, the two of them engaged in an intense battle. Terrifying auras pierced through the void. Everyone was shocked, and their scalps went numb. Because the methods of these two people were truly too terrifying. Regardless of whether it was Lin Xian or Lu Mingwei, both of them would be able to sweep the field. After the flaming sword, Lin Xian used the other 4 swords of the 5 elements swords. Each of them was extremely terrifying and powerful. Lu Mingwei, on the other hand, was surrounded by the light of Wanton. She was like a goddess of war, extremely dazzling. However, cold sweat gradually trickled down her forehead because she realized that she was being suppressed by Lin Xian. In fact, his sword strike had even sliced apart the primal chaos light on her body. If it wasn't for the fact that she was wearing an Earth-rank treasure armor, that sword strike would have seriously injured her. Thus, Lu Mingyue's expression was extremely gloomy. The surrounding kings were also extremely shocked. They had never imagined that Lin Xian would actually gain the upper hand in this battle. Furthermore, from the looks of it, the other party seemed to have sufficient strength. This made everyone feel incredulous. Lu Mingyue's allies were also extremely anxious. The weaker ones did not dare to step forward at all because they were unable to withstand the aftermath of the energy. Yan Qing and Sun Yang were also gnashing their teeth. In this situation, they were somewhat unable to help. They could only continuously interfere from the side, but many of the effects were not great. Not only that, but they were also almost ambushed by an ordinary crimson dragon. However, at this moment, 2 old men's expressions were indeed cold, and killing intent surfaced in their eyes. At this moment, they finally could not hold it in anymore. Even if those people looked down on them, they were going to make a move. This was because Lin Xian gave them a feeling that he was too dangerous. If he was allowed to continue growing, it would not be long before even they would not be able to suppress him. At that time, in this deep forest, no one would be a match for Lin Xian. They would not allow such a thing to happen, so these people were prepared to make a move. Finally, an old man made a move. The aura on his body suddenly erupted. With a wave of his hand, it was like a mountain smashing over. Immediately, the void trembled, and a violent wind blew. The terrifying energy enveloped Lin Xian. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly and slashed at Lu Mingwei again. Then, he suddenly turned around to resist the huge palm behind him. Sword light flickered all over his body, turning into a golden sword ray that directly slashed behind him. Boom! With a loud bang, the golden sword chi directly blasted the mountain-like palm away. Meanwhile, the old man's figure also retreated. His palm was trembling and bleeding continuously. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were all shocked. That was an elder powerhouse, but he was injured by the other party at first sight. This made them extremely shocked. Was the other party's strength really that heaven-defying? Kid, you're too arrogant. You don't even care about your elders? That's right. Hurry up and kneel down and apologize. Destroy your own martial arts, or you'll end up in a terrible state. A series of cold shouts were heard. Meanwhile, the injured old man's face was also ferocious. Originally, he thought that with his strength and sudden attack, he would definitely be able to catch the other party off guard. Perhaps he would be able to seriously injure the other party. However, he did not expect to be injured in the first exchange. This was unacceptable to him. You're too arrogant. Don't think that just because you have a powerful sword in your hand, you can do whatever you want. You're causing trouble for yourself, the injured old man said in a deep voice. He did not think that Lin Xian was powerful, but that the other party had a powerful sword in his hand that could injure him. In fact, many people thought so because the sword in Lin Xian's hand had previously cut the sword of chaos in half. That was probably something that only an upper-grade artifact could do. What does it have to do with you whether I'm arrogant or not? Lin Xian said coldly. However, since you dared to sneak attack me, you'll have to pay the price. Price? What do you want? The old man sneered. Of course, I want you to apologize with your death. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With the killing sword in his hand, he strode forward. What, you dare to kill me? Hearing this, the old man was stunned. He then snorted coldly. Kid, do you know who I am? Do you know which sect I'm from? I don't need to know. Since you dared to sneak attack me, you'll definitely die. Lin Xian said coldly. You're courting death. The old man was furious. The other party was too arrogant. He was too hateful. Therefore, in the next moment, he said coldly, I'm from the Wavering Light's sacred land. If you dare to touch me, you'll definitely die. Wavering Light's sacred land. Hearing this, the crowd exclaimed in surprise. Whether it was in the outside world or in the mystic world, the Wavering Light's sacred land was a huge and terrifying existence. They did not expect this old man to be from the Wavering Light's sacred land. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and sneered. Wavering Light's sacred land? So what? Since you dared to sneak attack me, you'll have to pay the price. Shocked, everyone around was shocked. Lin Xian was too strong. He did not even give face to the Wavering Light's sacred land. What was he trying to do? Was he trying to defy the heavens? Chapter 1775. Hearing this, the elder gritted his teeth and shouted, You're challenging the dignity of the Wavering Light's sacred land. The Wavering Light's sacred land was a peerless sacred land in the eastern wilderness. It was very ancient and terrifying, and no one dared to provoke it. But now, he dared to challenge it. This was simply too inconceivable. So what if you're from the Wavering Light's sacred land? Do you still think this is the eastern wilderness? Lin Xian snorted. Then, he raised his arm and waved a terrifying sword chi. You're courting death! The elder was furious. He endured the injuries in his body and attacked crazily. Behind him, a dazzling halo appeared. At the same time, a golden shadow condensed in his hand and blasted forward. Boom! Lin Xian's sword slashed forward fiercely. It directly slashed the golden shadow and landed on the elder's body. Poof! The elder was sent flying again. When the surrounding kings saw this, their scalps went numb. Lin Xian was too powerful. The elder was covered in blood. His eyes were full of killing intent. He stared coldly at Lin Xian like a demonic beast that had gone mad. Do you really want to fall out with the Wavering Light's sacred land? Fight to the death? Killing you means falling out with the Wavering Light's sacred land? You really think highly of yourself? Lin Xian shook his head coldly. Your actions are insulting the Wavering Light's sacred land. I'm just teaching you a lesson here. After saying that, his body shone with sword chi and he walked forward again. Brat, you're too arrogant. The elder's face turned ugly. Although this is not the eastern wilderness, the saint of the Wavering Light's sacred land is here. The Wavering Light's sacred sun. Hearing this name, the surrounding kings fell silent. There was even a strong sense of fear in their eyes. This name was like a mountain pressing down on their hearts. The Wavering Light's sacred sun was a young genius and extremely mysterious. When he was young, he had displayed heaven-defying talent. When he was young, he was even more dazzling. In the eastern wilderness, he was the most powerful existence among the younger generation. It was rumored that he was extremely mysterious. No one knew what his true combat strength was. However, even the older generation and peerless geniuses had to bow their heads in front of him. Such a character, who was so powerful that it made others despair, was also in this profound world at this moment. However, during this period of time, he had not shown himself, and everyone had even forgotten about his existence. However, after the old man's reminder, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. That's right. Although this was not the eastern wilderness, as long as the Alcade Saint was here, the Alcade sacred ground would still be the top existence. The Alcade Saint? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He is indeed a genius. However, even he can't save you. If I want to kill someone, no one can stop me. Even if he comes, let him fight with me. Lin Xian was extremely powerful. Even in the face of the Alcade Saint, he was not afraid. Seeing Lin Xian walk over again, the old man was finally afraid. His expression was full of fear. He realized that even if he brought up the Alcade Saint's son, the other party would not let him go. He could not believe it. Brat, you're courting death. If you leave now, I can let bygones be bygones. However, if you dare to touch me, the Alcade sacred ground will not let you go. There will be no place for you in this forest. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly and remained unmoved. The dragon sword's spiritual domain instantly erupted and enveloped the other party. Terrifying sword chi soared into the sky, turning the entire space into an extremely dangerous zone. The old man roared crazily and destroyed his strength to the extreme. He had to save himself now, or no one would be able to save him. Sacred Light Technique. Laozi's body shone with light, forming a huge ball of light above his head. The terrifying light was like the sun, illuminating the entire sky. The two exchanged blows, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to split. After a few moves, there was a sudden violent explosion, and bright light spread in all directions. The terrifying sacred light ball was cut in half by the sword. The entire sky sank. The old man opposite him had disheveled hair and was covered in blood. His eyes were filled with anxiety and fear. Because Lin Xian was too powerful, there was no way to stop him. That kind of power made him feel despair. Brat, you're causing trouble for yourself. Even if you kill me, there will be a day when the Alcade Saint will kill you. The old man issued a final threat. Lin Xian's expression was still cold. You don't know what's good for you. Then he stabbed out with his long sword as fast as lightning. The terrifying sword light streaked across the sky, and the energy caused the surrounding kings to tremble. The old man in front of him stiffened. His pupils gradually dilated as if he couldn't believe it. The next moment, a crack appeared between his eyebrows and spread downward. Then, his entire body was split in half. What? Everyone was stunned. They couldn't believe that the other party had really killed someone from the Alcade sacred land. Was he not afraid of the Alcade Saint's revenge? Everyone felt as if they were dreaming. However, they didn't know that Lin Xian had killed people from the Alcade sacred land more than once. If they knew this news, what kind of expressions would they have? Lin Xian had actually killed a martial artist from the Alcade sacred land with a single sword strike. This was too shocking. This was a sign of falling out with the Alcade sacred land. Moreover, the Alcade Saint was very likely to be nearby. Perhaps he would rush over soon. However, Lin Xian did not hesitate at all and attacked decisively. Brother, I have to say that you're too strong. I, old Zhang, have never admired anyone. Today, I'm the first one to admire you. Yes, brother, you're really fierce. You even dared to kill someone from the Alcade sacred land. You're too powerful. However, brother, I advise you to leave quickly. The Alcade Saint might be nearby. Perhaps he'll be here soon. You'd better leave quickly. Exclamations were heard. Obviously, these people were convinced by Lin Xian's decisiveness and strength. They were all worried about him. As for the others, such as Lu Mingwei and the others, they sneered. That's great. We couldn't take this brat down. I didn't expect him to dare to kill someone from the Alcade sacred land. This is going to be a good show. The Alcade sacred land will definitely not let him go. I think we don't need to do anything. The Alcade sacred land alone can kill this brat. Lu Mingwei and the others sneered. It doesn't matter. If he comes, we'll fight. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, and his battle suit was in high spirits. To be honest, he also wanted to fight with the legendary Alcade Saint to verify his martial arts today. However, after waiting for a long time, he still didn't see the Alcade Saint, so Lin Xian was ready to leave. However, How could Lu Mingwe and the others let Lin Xian go? In the next moment, the three of them attacked again. Not only that, but this time, several powerful martial artists also attacked. They all wanted to kill Lin Xian. The battle broke out again. This time, it was even more intense. In addition to Lu Mingwe, there was another genius who was shining with light. In addition, there were several seniors, each of whom was extremely powerful. Chapter 1776. A great battle broke out, shaking the heavens and the earth. The entire space shook violently. Lin Xian was suppressed and was at a disadvantage. However, sword light flashed all over his body as he fought more and more valiantly. The surrounding martial artists were even more shocked. Up until now, Lin Xian had still not been caught. It had to be said that it was really too shocking. One had to know that the lineup sent out this time was unprecedentedly strong. No one could stand up to them. Boom! However, at that moment, the ground shook violently as if some peerless monster was about to be born. Sure enough, in the next moment, the sea of bones below shook rapidly and then split open. A white bone palm like a white mountain grabbed at the sky. Pun! One of the warriors did not escape in time and was caught by the white palm, exploding into a bloody mist. Blood splattered everywhere. It was abnormally pungent. Everyone was stunned by this scene. What's going on? Everyone was stunned, regardless of whether they were spectators or those who were fighting in the field. Even Lin Xian furrowed his brows. Boom, boom, boom. The shaking below became more and more intense. Lin Xian and the others looked down and then gasped. The sea of bones below split open and a huge crack appeared. A white bone creature emerged from below. It was very tall, like a mountain, and its body was surrounded by murderous aura. It was terrifying. What? There's a white bone creature here. How is this possible? Everyone's scalps went numb. They had checked before and there was no sign of life at all. But now an undead creature had appeared. It was indeed shocking. How can this be? Even Yi Wudao, Gu Santong, and the others frowned. However, those elder-level elders cried out in alarm. Damn it, the white bones absorbed the blood from the great battle before, most likely reviving it. Everyone's scalps went numb. If that was the case, they would not be able to stop it. This sea of bones was formed from the ancient battle. It was an ancient battlefield. The white bones here were all stunning and powerful figures in the past. Every single one of them was extremely terrifying. If they were revived, these people would not be able to stop them. Sure enough, the terrifying white bone giant waved its hand and immediately turned a group of warriors into a bloody mist. Run! In the next moment, everyone fled frantically, not daring to stay here any longer. Even those powerhouses no longer besieged Lin Xian. Instead, they all fled into the distance. This was because the white palm was flying towards them at high speed. Lin Xian also executed the Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps. His body transformed into streaks of lightning as he dodged non-stop. He knew that this battle could not continue, and now he had to avoid the attacks of the bone giants. If they were targeted by the other party, they would be in trouble. As Lin Xian dodged, he frowned. Because at this moment, Lu Mingwe actually made a move amidst the chaos. A ray of chaotic light turned into a bolt of lightning and instantly pierced towards Lin Xian. It seemed that Lu Mingwe really wanted to kill Lin Xian. However, despite the chaos, Lin Xian's soul force was still extremely powerful. He caught sight of the light of chaos in an instant. Then, he snorted coldly and dodged the attack with a flash of his body. Not only that, he also waved his arm and released a ray of sword chi, forming a cage and trapping Lu Mingwe. It made it impossible for her to escape. Lu Mingwe's expression changed. She did not expect Lin Xian to be so vigilant and able to dodge her attack. Moreover, he had created quite a bit of trouble for her. In the next moment, she bombarded the sword chi cage with all her might and escaped. She did not attack and quickly fled into the distance. Because the white bone creature was even more terrifying. Its eyes flickered, and white waves swept in all directions. None of the warriors who were bombarded could escape. "Kid, don't run outside. Go near the heavenly sword." At this moment, the Crimson Dragon sent a voice transmission. Hearing this, Lin Xian moved and flew in the opposite direction. As expected, there were no attacks from the white-boned creature near the heavenly sword. In order to avoid being discovered, he even hid in the pile of white bones at the edge. Through the gap, Lin Xian saw the scene of frantic escape in the distance. When he saw how powerful the white-boned creature was, his eyelids twitched wildly. This kind of power was definitely not something they could fight against. In front of them, the white-boned giant was monstrous. Not only was its body huge, but its strength was also terrifying. With a gentle wave of its palm, it tore the void apart. Not only that, but there were also terrifying scenes surrounding it. There was a headless warlord, a terrifying sword master, and an 8-headed evil dragon. There was also a demon with wings on its back. These scenes were extremely terrifying, and all of them surrounded the white-boned giant. Boom! In the next moment, the huge palm enveloped Lu Mingwei, Yan Qing, Sun Yang, and more than a dozen Wang Zhe. "No!" Yan Qing roared crazily. The thorned flower behind him shone brightly. The vines in front of him turned into a green rainbow and quickly rushed into the sky, trying to resist. A pair of transparent wings appeared behind Sun Yang's back to increase his speed. Lu Mingyue's body was surrounded by chaotic qi, and she looked like a god of war. The other kings also roared and used all their strength to escape. However, the white-boned palm was too terrifying. Other than Lu Mingwei, Yan Qing, Sun Yang, and the others were directly turned into a bloody mist. This scene was simply too shocking. Such a powerful king had been killed in an instant. Not only that, 2 rays of white light appeared from the huge white-boned skull. They were like giant dragons that rushed in all directions. Hum! In the crowd, Gu Santong used his spatial mystique and disappeared into the void. On the other side, Yi Wudao's body shone brightly. He emitted a powerful aura, and like a god of war, he quickly ran into the distance. The terrifying scene was still playing out, but Lin Xian's place was abnormally quiet. No one would have thought that he was right below the white bone. In fact, the more dangerous a place was, the safer it was. Lin Xian now understood this point. He was now inside the white bone. It seemed very dangerous, but he was incomparably safe. He was not affected at all. However, good things did not last long. Not long after, the huge white-boned creature gave up its pursuit and walked towards the Sea of Bones again. It seemed like it wanted to return to the Sea of Bones. What the F***ck? Lin Xian's face darkened. If it came to the Sea of Bones, would it discover him? Thinking of this, his scalp went numb. If he ran now, he would be targeted. It seemed that he could only continue to go deeper into the Sea of Bones. The Crimson Dragon was also out of ideas. The white-boned giant in front of them was obviously an existence that surpassed the Almighty. They could not escape at all. Therefore, they could only go deeper and hope that the white-boned giant would not discover them. Then, the man and dragon set off towards the bottom of the Sea of Bones. Their bodies shone brightly, and terrifying sword she opened a path as they rushed underground. Chapter 1777. After walking for a long time, Lin Xian felt that the bones below were getting fewer and fewer. He was about to touch the hard ground. After walking for a while, Lin Xian's brows suddenly twitched. He and the Crimson Dragon's figure flashed as they arrived underground. There was actually an immortal's cave below. That's right, Lin Xian broke through countless bones and earth and arrived at a strange immortal's cave. There were also bones here, but not many. Moreover, from the luster, they were more powerful than the ones outside. But fortunately, they had been dead for countless years and posed no threat to him. This is a corridor. There seems to be a cave ahead. Let's go and take a look. The Crimson Dragon pointed ahead and said. Lin Xian was also curious. He wanted to know where this place was, so the two discussed for a while and set off again. After walking for a while, a huge stone tablet suddenly appeared in front of them. There was a passage engraved on it. It was an ancient language, but fortunately, He too could recognize it. "I'm here. I hope I can succeed this time." It was just a short sentence. There was nothing to see. Therefore, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon continued to walk forward. Not long after, they found another stone tablet. "The enemy is too powerful. It's unimaginable. The enemy shouldn't exist in this world, but he escaped the cycle of time. I think we should use other methods." "Enemy? What kind of person is able to escape the cycle of time?" Seeing the second stone tablet, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were shocked. This time, they sped up and walked forward, because they estimated that there should be a third stone tablet. "After going through so many difficulties and dangers, we finally found the Great Dragon Sword. I hope we can succeed this time." The Great Dragon Sword, it was actually related to the Great Dragon's Sword. Seeing this, Lin Xian was excited. He didn't expect that the Immortal's Cave under the Sea of Bones was related to the Great Dragon's Sword. Could it be that the owner of this cave was also the descendant of the Great Dragon's Sword? But he didn't know which generation it was. "Let's go and take a look." This time, Lin Xian's speed was even faster. He even used Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps, and his speed reached the extreme. The next moment, he saw the fourth stone tablet. However, nothing was written on the fourth stele. To be exact, it was written, but it had been erased by someone. Even the traces of the erasure were still clearly visible. What exactly happened? Did that man defeat Rian or not? What was the result? And who erased the traces? Was it the owner of the dragon's sword or someone else? Lin Xian frowned, extremely puzzled. Moving forward, Lin Xian refused to give up and continued to dash forward at top speed. However, he did not find the fifth stele. Instead, he saw a coffin. Beside it, there was a pit. It was unknown whether it was buried or dug out by someone. "Do you want to open it?" After much consideration, Lin Xian finally decided to open it. The next moment, he opened it. There was no corpse inside, nor were there any bones. Instead, there was a piece of human skin. The human skin was the size of 2 palms. It was glossy and full of divine energy. Whose coffin was it this time? Who left this human skin behind? What was the purpose? Could it be that the corpse was stolen? Lin Xian was extremely puzzled. The next moment, he picked up the human skin. However, when he saw the reverse side, he was completely stunned. Because on the human skin, there were countless words. "This is?" Lin Xian was shocked. He looked carefully. Could it be that the owner of this cave, the owner of the dragon's sword, left it behind? He looked carefully, and then sucked in a breath of cold air. "Dragon Sword's secret technique!" This was actually a secret technique about the Great Dragon's Sword. It seemed that it was left behind by the owner of the dragon's sword. Lin Xian was wild with joy. He now had the Great Dragon Sword's spirit, and his battle strength was unparalleled. However, he only instinctively used the Great Dragon Sword's spirit and didn't have the corresponding technique. Even He too didn't leave it behind for him. Because the 4th generation of the Dragon Sword died too suddenly, he only left behind some Earth-class cultivation techniques, and no Dragon Sword secret technique. In fact, he didn't even know if the 4th generation successor of the Dragon's Sword had the Dragon Sword secret technique. But now, he actually obtained a Dragon Sword secret technique. Even if the supreme expert wasn't suppressed, he probably wouldn't be able to contend against this white bone giant. With this Dragon Sword secret technique, Lin Xian could use it in the entire king level. Moreover, he believed that after cultivating it, the power of his Great Dragon Sword spirit would be even more terrifying. After searching around again, he didn't find anything else. Thus, he and the Crimson Dragon left. This time, Lin Xian used the heavenly secret divine eyes and changed to another direction. He carefully left. He didn't alarm the huge white bone giant. Not long after Lin Xian left, another figure landed in this cave. It was a young man. He was very handsome and even had a trace of evil aura. After he arrived at this cave, he narrowed his eyes. When he saw the first stone tablet, he also frowned. However, when he saw the second stone tablet, his eyes lit up. "It's him! This is his cave!" The handsome young man was excited. However, as he walked further, he frowned because he also found that the traces had been erased. Especially when he saw the coffin that had already been opened, his expression turned gloomy. At this moment, the coffin was empty. The human skin had been taken away, so the mysterious handsome young man naturally didn't get anything. "Damn it! Someone was one step ahead of me!" The evil young man's eyes flickered. "Who is it? Don't let me find out. Otherwise I, Mo Tianqi, won't let you go." Mo Tianqi! This evil young man turned out to be Mo Tianqi, the former sect master of Danzong, who was hunted down by the Yaoguang's sacred land. He could be said to be incomparably terrifying. He was a peerless supreme expert. However, he didn't expect that he would come to this tilted moon mystic world. On the other side, Lin Xian naturally didn't know that after he left, Mo Tianqi had also gone to that mysterious cave. He didn't even know that Mo Tianqi was in this mystic world. Now, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon had come out of the underground cave. He was still near the Bone Sea. When he came out, he looked around and found that the surroundings were a mess. The mountains had collapsed and countless large areas of forest were destroyed. Obviously, they were all destroyed by the terrifying white bone giant. He carefully distanced himself, trying to find a safe place to cultivate the dragon sword's secret technique. However, at this moment, in the deep forest in the distance, a ray of wanton light shot into the sky. Then, a beautiful figure appeared on the mountain peak. Her body shone with chaotic light and a pair of chaotic wings appeared on her back. Her entire body emitted a powerful aura. Lu Mingwei! Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and looked at the figure on the mountain peak in the distance. He frowned. Chapter 1778. The other party's aura was much stronger than before. Did she make a breakthrough? That was too shocking. Unexpectedly, not only did the white bone giant fail to kill Lu Mingwei, but it also allowed her to successfully make a breakthrough. Now the other party's strength was even more terrifying and powerful. She was really a difficult opponent. No wonder Yu Wudao said that this woman was qualified to be the saintess of all beginnings. Lin Xian wasn't the only one who discovered Lu Mingyue's breakthrough. The other experts in the forest also discovered it. Then, they all looked dignified. There was no other way. Lu Mingwei was very powerful before, and now that she had made a breakthrough, her strength had increased a lot. But it was conceivable that she would become one of the most terrifying figures. Such a person was absolutely terrifying. But at that moment, a king whose body was shining with light quickly soared into the sky and attacked Lu Mingwei. This scene caused everyone to cry out in surprise. Lin Xian was also very surprised. He didn't expect that at this time, someone would attack Lu Mingwei. Lu Mingyue's figure shook, and the wings of chaos unfolded. Her whole body turned into a stream of light, and quickly left the mountain. She didn't fight with the other party. She must have just made a breakthrough and wanted to stabilize her realm. When the resplendent figure saw Lu Mingwei leaving, he snorted coldly and did not pursue her. Instead, he quickly disappeared into the void. Who is this person? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. When Lu Mingwei and the others besieged him, the other party seemed to have attacked him. He just didn't expect that the other party would attack Lu Mingwei now. I don't know. He should be a powerful king. He doesn't seem to allow experts with heaven-defying combat strength to exist. This kind of person seeks a balance. He will attack whoever displays the most power. The Crimson Dragon analyzed. Hearing this, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Humph, the other party better not attack him, or he will never let that person go. The next moment, he turned and left, going to a safe place to practice the dragon sword's secret technique. This practice lasted for half a month. The dragon sword secret technique was very mysterious and abnormally difficult to practice. Lin Xian practiced for half a month, but only grasped a little. However, although he had only grasped a little, he could feel that his aura was undergoing a shocking change. The great dragon sword soul became even more skillful and nimble. It was as though a true dragon had taken up residence in his body. His terrifying strength made his entire body incomparably sharp. With my current strength, ordinary 6-star kings are no match for me at all. Those older generation experts are also no match for me. I just don't know what will happen if I encounter a true holy sun. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. At this moment, he was infinitely powerful. After his strength had greatly increased, Lin Xian went out again. This time, he actually met Gu Santong. Gu Santong was as calm as ever, as if he was just an ordinary person. However, Lin Xian knew that this was definitely a formidable opponent. This was because he had fought with the other party before, and it was only a draw. There weren't many people who could fight him to a draw. Until now, there was only Gu Santong. One could only imagine how terrifying the other party was. Gu Santong naturally saw Lin Xian as well. However, when he felt the qi on Lin Xian, he was instantly shocked. "You've broken through!" He was extremely shocked. He didn't expect Lin Xian's aura to be even sharper than before. "You're not simple either. You're even more mysterious than before. I can barely feel your aura." Lin Xian was also shocked. Indeed, if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have been able to sense the other party's existence. This meant that the other party's void technique had become even more perfect. It was almost able to merge with the entire space. Space mystique was definitely a terrifying mystique. Coupled with the other party's void technique, it could be said to be extremely powerful. When Gu Santong learned that Lin Xian had broken through, his eyes shone brightly. Even his ordinary face was now covered with a layer of radiance. His entire person was no longer ordinary. "Since you've broken through, and I've also broken through a little during this time, why don't we fight again? Last time it was a draw. It wasn't satisfying. If it was any other time, I wouldn't mind fighting. But now I can't." Lin Xian shook his head. "That woman, Lu Mingwei, has also broken through. I think she'll attack me again. So until I defeat her, I must maintain my peak condition. I can't be ambushed by her," Lin Xian said in a low voice. "Lu Mingwei?" Hearing this, Gu Santong nodded. "Indeed. That woman is incredible. Her primal chaos technique has been trained to a superb level. She's a strong opponent. If that's the case, then I won't force you. After you defeat her, we'll fight again." The radiance on Gu Santong's body quickly disappeared and entered his body. He became an ordinary young man again. Then he asked, "But what do you plan to do? That woman probably won't fight alone. She has many powerful people by her side. As far as I know, the last time the Bosi changed, a large number of powerhouses died. But it also allowed many people to break through at the critical moment. Their strength increased by leaps and bounds. They're even more terrifying than those who died before. That Lu Mingwei seems to have a few kings who broke through. They're even more terrifying than Yan Qing and Sun Yang. Therefore, although their number of kings is small now, their strength is a level higher than before. There's such a thing?" Hearing this, Lin Xian was shocked. He really didn't know. He had been in seclusion these days to cultivate the dragon sword secret technique. He didn't expect such a change to happen in the outside world. It seemed that he wasn't the only one who had broken through. Everyone else had as well. However, he believed that with the dragon sword secret technique, his strength was definitely not something those people could imagine. But he didn't want to wait passively. So, he decided to take the initiative. Just like last time, when he uprooted the Bright Moon organization. He decided to do the same thing again. When Gu Santong heard about Lin Xian's decision, he was shocked. "You're going to take the initiative?" He didn't expect Lin Xian to be so strong. After all, Lu Mingwei had broken through and her strength had increased greatly. Moreover, the other party had a few more powerful experts. Even so, Lin Xian still decided to take the initiative. It was simply too shocking. Lin Xian said in a low voice. There's no other way. The other party has too many kings. If a few of them break through, I'm afraid even I won't be able to deal with them. That's why I have to kill them before they break through. It's time to settle some debts. Hearing this, Gu Santong's eyes flashed. Then he said, Do you need help? You want to help me? Lin Xian was surprised. He didn't expect Gu Santong to be willing to help him. Chapter 1779. After all, he was from the Gu clan and was a space elemental king. He was extremely powerful. With him around, he would be a terrifying force to be reckoned with. I do want to help you, Gu Santong said. However, I hope that when I'm in danger you can help me. What is it? Could it be that you've encountered some danger? Lin Xian was confused. Gu Santong looked like he was in trouble. I am in trouble. Recently, I've been feeling that someone has been observing me in the dark. There's even a chilling aura. However, I can't find out who it is. At this point, Gu Santong's expression was extremely serious. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. If what Gu Santong said was true, then it was too scary. Gu Santong was a space elemental king, and had mastered the void technique. His perception of space was extremely strong. If someone was hiding in the surroundings, they would not be able to escape his perception. However, he could not find the mysterious person. This meant that the other party was extremely powerful, at least more powerful than Gu Santong. If someone like this had his eyes on Gu Santong, it was no wonder that even a disciple of a clan of the ancients would have a headache. Lin Xian said in a low voice. No matter what danger it is, if you help me this time, I'll definitely help you the next time you're in danger. Firstly, Lin Xian decided to take the initiative. With Gu Santong's help, his chances of winning would be higher. Secondly, he already saw Gu Santong as a friend. If a friend was in trouble, he would naturally help. All right. Then I'll go with you this time. Hearing this, Gu Santong breathed a sigh of relief. Although he did not know what the danger was, with Lin Xian's help, no matter how dangerous it was, he would definitely be able to get through it. Next, the two of them began to plan and decided to uproot Lu Mingyue's faction. However, before that, there was one more person to deal with. That was Zhao Tianxia. This woman's heart was vicious, and she was good at seduction, bewitching others. She even had several giants in her hands. She was a threat that was not any weaker than Lu Mingyue. Lin Xian would not allow such a threat to exist. Therefore, he decided to take Zhao Tianxia out as well. At night, darkness fell. This time, Lin Xian was on the move again. He, Gu Santong, and the Crimson Dragon turned into 3 streaks of light and headed towards the Valley of the Giants. Last time, the Valley of the Giants had been destroyed by the battle between the 3 beasts. But now, the valley was once again built by a few giants. It was surrounded by 3 huge mountain peaks, forming an impenetrable fortress. Normal kings would not be able to break through, but something like this was not a problem for Lin Xian and Gu Santong. Gu Santong stood in the air, his robes fluttering in the wind. A smile appeared on his calm face. In the next moment, the surrounding space began to vibrate rapidly. Like waves, the vibrations spread rapidly in all directions. 1. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon felt the space around them distort violently, and then their bodies were wrapped up. In the next moment, just like Gu Santong, they completely merged into the void. Void technique. Lin Xian felt the changes in his surroundings and was shocked. As expected of a family that had produced a great emperor, this secret technique was too strong and too strange. They could actually hide in the void and directly bypass the impenetrable mountain peaks to enter the Valley of the Giants. After entering the valley, Gu Santong immediately used his space domain. Instantly, the entire valley was enveloped. The void vibrated, and darkness descended. The terrifying space domain released boundless power, imprisoning all the warriors. Even the giant's movements became stiff for a moment. Lin Xian also released his dragon sword domain at the same time. Terrifying murderous intent filled the sky, and dazzling sword chi quickly slashed downwards. It was like a harvester, mercilessly harvesting the lives of the kings below. He did not feel any pity, because these people had tried to kill him before. He was only returning for revenge. Poof, poof, poof. The entire process was very fast. The warriors did not even have the chance to resist before they were killed. There were even 2 giants whose bodies were pierced by the terrifying sword chi. However, they were abnormally strong, and their vitality surpassed that of a king. Therefore, even though they were heavily injured, these giants struggled madly. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. He scanned the area below, but he did not find Zhao Tianxia. With a cold snort, he used the dragon catcher hand. His terrifying palms turned into 2 green dragons that quickly probed downwards. He caught one of the kings. "Where is Zhao Tianxia?" Lin Xian asked coldly. "If I tell you, can you spare my life?" The king trembled, his eyes filled with fear. "If what you say is true, I can spare your life." Hearing this, the king hurriedly said, "Zhao Tianxia has not returned since the Bone Sea's shocking change. He seems to have given up on the Valley of the Giants. He hasn't returned?" Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. It seemed that Zhao Tianxia was a cautious person. He knew that the Valley of the Giants was not safe, so he simply left in advance. Now that he did not know where he was, it seemed that he could not kill him this time. "You can leave now!" Lin Xian waved his arm and threw the person out of the Valley of the Giants. He did not kill him, because in his eyes, he was not worth mentioning. In the next moment, he sent a voice transmission to Gu Santong and the Crimson Dragon, telling them to leave quickly. The 3 of them turned into 3 streaks of lightning and left the Valley of the Giants in an instant, flying towards the Bright Moon Organization. Lin Xian, Gu Santong, and the Crimson Dragon had just left the Valley of the Giants when an angry roar came from behind them. Without the restriction of space, the giants immediately roared and were extremely terrifying. They ran madly out of the Valley of the Giants, wanting to kill Lin Xian and Gu Santong. At the same time, an angry roar came from afar, accompanied by terrifying energy waves. "What's going on?" Lin Xian and Gu Santong were shocked. The giants behind them were angry for a reason. They were chasing after them, but why were there such terrifying energy waves in the distance? Could it be that someone is fighting? Not long after, light shot into the sky and waves rolled. It was obvious that someone was fighting. And it seemed that it was not just 1 or 2 people fighting. Gu Santong felt the changes in space as he flew, and then his expression became very serious. "Someone is fighting. Like us?" Hearing this, Lin Xian was also shocked. "That's right. Like us, someone has ambushed other organizations." Gu Santong continued. "And it's not just one organization. I'm afraid that tonight will be the same as before. When that happens, many people will die." You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.